there. It is 5 o'clock on the dot, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. It is a little bit foggy out there this morning, maybe some mist in your area, so maybe you want to give yourself some extra time driving into work this morning. Stick around. The forecast and traffic is coming up in just about 5 minutes. Well, Helene is long gone, but the massive storm is still having a huge impact on parts of eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina.
In Nashville, North Carolina, Helene and a separate system dumped up to 30 inches of rain in nearby mountains, triggering flash floods and landslides. Asheville now largely cut off by washed out roads, a lack of power, and no cell phone service. The city's water system severely damaged, some residents expressing frustration at the pace of the government's response.
It's ABC's Andrew Dimbart. Now, at least 4 weather-related deaths have been reported in eastern Tennessee, including 1 in Johnson County and 2 in Unicoi County, also 2 more in Cocke County. Tragically, more than 150 people are still unaccounted for across multiple counties as of late yesterday afternoon. That's according to the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. Well, keep an eye on the West Coast today, where a dock workers' strike could start as early as tomorrow. Negotiations stalling over the weekend. It doesn't look like President Biden is prepared to step in here either. ABC's Rihanna Nally has more.
Negotiations between the Longshoremen's Union and the U.S. Maritime Alliance, representing the shippers and ports, are at a standstill. Union members are demanding higher wages and protections from automation. President Biden has the power to stop the strike, but says he won't do that. He's urging both sides to negotiate fairly and quickly.
And according to the National Retail Federation, a one-day shutdown takes 3 to 5 days to recover from, so the longer it goes on, the worse it gets. Market Numbers Report here brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Daria Albinger.
Stocks closed mixed to end the week, but with at least one new record. The Dow rose 138 points to close at an all-time high. The Nasdaq fell 71 points, and the S&P closed down 7. Trump media swung from an early loss to a jump following the first disclosure of a major investor selling their shares. Now the restriction for insiders to do so has been lifted. Former President Trump does not plan to sell any of his shares, and he owns more than half the company. It's the Fed's preferred measure of inflation, and it's the latest sign that shows pressures are easing. The Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, yep, that is a mouthful of a title. It shows prices rose 0.1% July to August, down from 0.2 the previous month. Year over year, inflation fell to 2.2%, down from 2.4% last time, just above the central bank's 2% target rate.
Now the stocks are looking red. The futures market is looking in the red this morning. The Dow futures are down 20. We've got NASDAQ futures minus 20 as well, and the S&P futures are down 2 points. That's the latest news, traffic and weather coming up. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Hey, there's no real accidents on the roads to tell you about this morning, but there is some fog and maybe some mist as well, especially coming up from the southern counties into Nashville. So be careful as you're driving, and maybe you want to give yourself an extra couple of moments to get to work. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Information fueled,
opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
Good morning. It is 5:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Dan Mandis is out, but I'm here to hang out with you this morning. I'm actually really happy for Dan. He's got some big, exciting things happening in his life, so I hope that Dan can disconnect today and really soak it all in. Granddad.
Yeah, very good.
It's very exciting. Congratulations, the whole Mandis crew. We'll be thinking of you guys, keeping you in our prayers, patiently awaiting updates.
Yes, we want pictures.
From Grandbaby Mandis. And the Super Text line is already taking note. Joan Jones is back.
Yes.
Hi, gang. Oh, that is really nice. I'm back. Still have trouble with this hand. In fact, a lot of trouble with the hand. But
surgery was as much of a success as it could have been?
As it could have been, yeah. Probably won't ever do that again if I can avoid it. It was not fun.
Zero out of 5 would not recommend.
No. So, I had surgery on Monday. Decided very quickly that painkillers were evil, and I won't do that again. The prescribed ones, they're pretty bad.
I feel like there's more to that story than you're letting on.
Yeah.
I'm not one to take those kind of things, and they made me feel awful.
Really? Just kind of like an upset stomach kind of vibe?
That, it just, makes you feel fuzzy in the head. I can do without. I'll deal with some pain. Yeah.
Some people like that reaction.
Yeah, I kind of like, I was going to ask you.
I guess so.
Got any extra?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do.
No, I better not.
But Joan Jones is here. She's back in the newsroom. We're very excited to have her back. Johnny B is producing as always, top-notch guy. And we begin today with, Western North Carolina completely underwater. It's unbelievable, the aftermath of Hurricane Helene that we're seeing. And not just the aftermath from Hurricane Helene, but what feels like radio silence from the federal government. I don't know if you noticed this, but Joe Biden spent his weekend on the beach. Kamala Harris spent her weekend fundraising with elites in California. And meanwhile, good portions of the country have been underwater.
Tonight, an unfolding catastrophe in Nashville, North Carolina. Homes and buildings swept away by raging floodwaters that have submerged the town.
It's beyond anything I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Parts of the town not underwater, completely cut off.
Somebody on a Facebook post said something about having to fly out of Nashville because you can't drive out of Nashville.
You got to fly out because you can't drive out. It's honestly insane what's happening there. Large portions of land just completely cut off from everyone else. Internet service is down. Electricity is down. There's a reporter by the name of Nick Sorter, a guy I know. He's out there connecting Starlink satellites, the Elon Musk internet, to help first responders on the ground to get to people and be able to connect. There's a couple spots that they set up with just that, a couple Starlinks, so people can have a spot to at least come and let their loved ones know, hey, we're good, guys. Don't stress over us. But yet the federal government seems to be nowhere. And now I understand that the federal government isn't the only end-all, be-all and who kind of fixes things after these disasters. But, a word would have been nice, but we haven't heard anything. And meanwhile, the residents in these communities are still dealing with just absolute chaos.
That extreme.
Yeah.
With no power and no cell service, crowds formed outside this hotel, one of the only places in town with working Wi-Fi.
We've been just trying to get on as much as we can and either get an email or a text out and just let everybody know that we're okay.
We met up with Cindy Tran, her forever home, a self-described oasis, ravaged by the cresting French Broad River nearby.
The water came up so quick, halfway up to the second floor. We thought the way it just kept rising so fast, it was going to get to the second floor, so we had to get out.
A similar scene in the town of Chimney Rock, virtually wiped off the map by floodwaters.
Chimney Rock's gone. Flying Bridge is gone.
Meanwhile,
It's really sad to see the aerial drone footage from these areas, and you hear the residents say, Chimney Rock is gone. It's gone. I've seen drone footage that it makes it look like a third world country, not anywhere in America. It's unbelievable.
Meanwhile, the heavy rains triggering a massive mudslide that washed out this stretch of I-40, a major highway connecting western and eastern parts of the state. One bit of good news, 2 dams that were in danger of collapse, the Nolichucky and Lake Lure dams, now appear to be okay as water levels slowly recede. Helene's flooding rains bringing devastation to Tennessee as well. In Irwin, the scene of this dramatic rescue. Patients and staff rushing to the roof as floodwaters engulf the Unicoi County Hospital. Boats and helicopters converging to quickly get them to safety.
I was very concerned that we was going to lose the hospital.
That was insane too. You had people on the roof of the hospital being airlifted out. Unbelievable what happened in the aftermath of this storm. And our thoughts and prayers go to everybody dealing with it. It's just mind-blowing. You know, in a couple weeks we're going to the Outer Banks in North Carolina for a family vacation. And my wife and I were talking, you know, you see the images and the drone footage of these highways that have just been washed out. And so we were like, how did we get there? So we punched it into the GPS, and it's like, if you see the route that it takes you around Asheville, North Carolina, and around into Charlotte, it really does put into perspective the damage that's being seen on the ground there. The damage is massive. Now, while all this is going on, the Harris campaign took an opportunity to take a swipe at Donald Trump on Twitter over his lack of belief in climate change. No comments from Kamala Harris on the people dealing with the catastrophe on the ground. No comments on what they're going to do to help the people. You know, she is vice president after all, currently. Maybe she'll give us a promise for what she'll do day one when she gets into office. But we haven't gotten that. All we've gotten is them taking swipes at Trump over climate change. You have citizens in this country dying from this storm, drowning, but instead of, you know, I don't know, sending in the military, sending in the full weight of the federal government to help the citizens of the country, she's posting about carbon emissions. That's what her campaign is doing. Nice, right? Hey, you got to have your priorities in order. Western North Carolina is underwater. Kamala's fundraising in San Francisco. Joe Biden is once again sleeping at the beach. Donald Trump said it in Pennsylvania over the weekend. You know, while all of this is happening, our leadership is once again absent.
Before we begin, I'd like to send my love and prayers to the families of those who have died, a lot of death, and all of those who are displaced and suffering in the wake of the hurricane's destruction in the South, especially in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and in particular Western North Carolina took a tremendous hit. It's been absolutely devastated, and God be with you all. It's been a rough one. That was a big monster hurricane, and hit a lot harder than anyone even thought possible. So we want to just extend our best wishes to everybody, right?
That was Donald Trump over the weekend in Pennsylvania, campaigning, talking about the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. He had a lot more to say about the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, which we'll bring to you right after we check the roads. 30 seconds here, no commercials on Super Talk.
Well, look at that. There's really no delays this morning to speak of, except for if you're in the areas of road construction, and you know where they are this morning, but you do need to watch out because there's a little bit of mist, maybe some fog, especially as you're coming up from the southern counties into Nashville this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:15 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you, Joan Jones. We're talking about Donald Trump and him responding to the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. We haven't heard much from the ways of the White House in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, but Donald Trump was talking about it over the weekend in Pennsylvania.
Before we begin, I'd like to send my love and prayers to the families of those who have died, a lot of death, and all of those who are displaced and suffering in the wake of the hurricane's destruction in the South, especially in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and in particular Western North Carolina took a tremendous hit. It's been absolutely devastated, and God be with you all. It's been a rough one. That was a big monster hurricane, and hit a lot harder than anyone even thought possible. So we want to just extend our best wishes to everybody, right?
That's Donald Trump over the weekend in Pennsylvania talking about Hurricane
Joe
Helene.
Biden is in Delaware sleeping right now in one of his many estates. One of his many estates. How did he get so many houses? He never was anything. He was a politician, made $151. What the hell was it all about? And that's why Lion Kamala Harris in San Francisco, a city that she is totally destroyed. That's where she is right now at a fundraiser. I don't know why fundraiser. They send her. They get so much money. You know who get a lot of people send money. I won't tell you who, but people that you would not like very much. I could give you the names. I think I will release the names. But if I do that, they'll say that I'm a threat to democracy. He's a threat.
I mean, they're going to say it anyway. Donald Trump saying, while Hurricane Helene is happening, American citizens are dying. American citizens need help. Kamala is fundraising in San Francisco. Joe Biden is sleeping at the beach. And he said, I could give you the names of the people donating. I could. One of those names is actually the co-founder of Netflix. Have you heard of this? The co-founder of Netflix has donated $7 million to Kamala Harris. $7 million. And so because of that, his name is Reed Hastings. Because of that, Netflix cancellations have been going through the roof over the weekend. Rate of cancellations have almost tripled after Trump backers called for action against the streaming service. Go woke, go broke.
Yeah, I'll never learn.
Why announce it?
Why?
Just do it quietly and move on.
There you go.
If you feel the need to. In this economy, how could you donate to Kamala Harris? You run a streaming service and you're going to charge people, $14 a month? Guess what's going to be the first thing to be cut when Kamala Harris makes inflation explode more? It's Netflix. What are you doing?
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
I just, this morning on my way in, got an alert from my bank that Netflix, I paid my subscription to Netflix. I wonder if I can go back and remove that.
Yeah.
Can we cancel
Call
that?
the bank and say, hey.
Let's challenge that charge.
Yeah.
But please. But these are the people that hate you and hate America, and they put it on full display. America's leaders are absent in the wake of Hurricane Helene. 64 dead across the Southeast. It's unbelievable the damage that this storm caused. I didn't expect it. I didn't see this storm causing that much damage in its aftermath, and we're witnessing it in real time. Trump is going to be visiting Georgia in the aftermath of the devastation from Hurricane Helene. He'll visit the city of Valdosta, Georgia, which has been just devastated, absolutely devastated in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. In a press release issued on Sunday, the Trump campaign announced that he would be visiting Valdosta to receive a briefing on the devastation from the hurricane and to facilitate the distribution of relief supplies. President Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States of America, will visit Valdosta, Georgia, to receive a briefing on the devastation of Hurricane Helene, facilitate the distribution of relief supplies, and deliver remarks to the press on Monday. So that will be happening today. Valdosta Mayor Scott James Matheson confirmed to local WALB that there have been 3 deaths reported as a result of Hurricane Helene. So it's 3, he told the outlet. 3 for us, a lot more injury than we sustained in Idalia, a lot more injury for the penetration of the trees to roofs and houses as well. The video footage being posted out of Valdosta is just unbelievable. Just historic buildings just being partially collapsed in their downtown area after that storm passed through. One of the most significant was an antique furniture store, and it's just wild. Yet again, Donald Trump has already made plans to go there, meet with the people, survey the damage, and facilitate relief. Kamala Harris is fundraising in California. Joe Biden is asleep on the beach. good luck getting a statement from the White House. Good luck. We got a lot more on the way. I do want to continue covering this storm. Plus, I want to bring to you what happened over the weekend with college football. Yeah, we're a news talk station, but there was a lot happening politically at the football stadium over the weekend. Hang out with us. It's 521 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Up ahead here on Super Talk 99.7, we'll take a look at more of the devastation from Hurricane Helene on the ground here in Tennessee and North Carolina. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
527 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, in for the one and only Dan Mandis, who could be having a grandbaby any moment. Woohoo! Congratulations, Dan, and the whole family. We'll be thinking of you guys, keeping you in our thoughts and prayers. And, at least Dan has this morning off, because the super texters are ruthless. They just stay ruthless. So they're welcoming me in, and it's Valdosta, or not Valdosta.
Valdosta, yes.
Yeah, everybody let me know.
They will.
and then they harassed me for being Canadian. That's the other thing I get.
Oh, again.
I haven't even had my Space Cowboy coffee yet, but I'm already being harassed.
Back off.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's about. We're having a good time, eh? So 527 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Tomorrow, are you hype? Are you big hype? I'm excited.
Oh, man.
We're going to have our VP debate watch party, Hop Springs in Murfreesboro. Myself, Mandis, Murphy, and Brian Wilson. We're all going to be out there live, along with the guys from Fox Nation. Brian Wilson is going to be doing his show starting at 3 o'clock. Then myself, Mandis Murphy, we're going to filter in. We're going to jump on the air with them around 6. Fox Nation will be there. Our friends at the Glock store are bringing a bunch of prizes to give away, including a new Glock, including range sessions, including some very cool swag from the Glock store. You got to be there to win. Come see us, Hop Springs in Murfreesboro tomorrow. And then the other thing I wanted to get to, which I don't know if I have enough time to, but did you see the reaction to Donald Trump over the weekend at the Alabama-Georgia football game?
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
That's what the memes were online. When Alabama won over the weekend, all we got online was...
They're eating the dogs.
They're eating the dogs.
Well, Bama kind of didn't they?
Ooh, good one.
Sorry, Murphy.
It was, Murphy. I'm waiting. I'm like bummed I'm not going to be able to do a cross with him today, because I would have played this for him on repeat live.
They're eating the dogs.
And saw what he did. There's nothing better than getting Murphy sufficiently riled up before his show.
Oh, yes. Well, my wife made him a little picture.
Oh,
Which she does anytime Alabama beats Georgia.
I'm excited to see Murphy's reaction to that. Glenda's a fabulous artist.
Yes, she is.
All right, so on the way, we got the Gang of Three Amigos, and then a little while after that, I will cover the difference in reception that Donald Trump received at the weekend college football game versus the reception Tim Walz received at the weekend college football game. These two things are not the same. It's 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey there, it is now 5:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Watch it this morning. Got some fog on the roads. You may need a couple of extra minutes to get to work. The full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Well, the destruction from Hurricane Helene is still being tallied today, but here's what we do know. 5 state bridges have been destroyed by rushing waters. 14 others are closed, and 27 state roadway sections are also closed today. Now, by late yesterday afternoon, the Tennessee Department of Transportation reported its crews had inspected more than 100 bridges in the previous 36 hours, and hundreds more are to go. And we're learning, too, that Unicoi County officials have asked for more cadaver dogs, since they only have 4 on the ground and they can only work for 2 hours at a time without rest. That is not a good sign. Meantime, the governor of North Carolina calls the impact of Hurricane Helene on the western part of his state an unprecedented tragedy, as roads are washed out, power remains off, and a lot of people are frustrated with what they say is a slow response from the federal government. Now, many local officials like Avril Pinder, and she's the Buncombe County manager, she tells ABC News that they're doing what they can to get help where it's needed.
We need food and we need water. My staff has been making every request possible to the state for support, and we've been working with every single organization that has reached out.
Now in Nashville, North Carolina, Helene and a separate system dumped up to 30 inches of rain in nearby mountains, and it triggered flash floods and landslides. Many of the roads are washed out, and people are still stranded in their homes. Market numbers report here brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. It's a little bit of red on the futures markets this morning. The Dow futures are down 17, the NASDAQ futures minus 12. We've got S&P futures down 2 points. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather still to come. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, you may run into some construction spots this morning, but what's more likely is that you're going to run into some fog and some mist as well on the roadways this morning. So take it easy as you're traveling. You may need a couple of extra moments. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.537 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? Filling in for the one and only Dan Mandis. Johnny B is in the producer studio. Joan Jones back in the newsroom. Welcome back, Joan.
Hello.
Very excited to have the esteemed Joan Jones back with us.
You bet. We missed her.
You guys are nice.
We missed you. We missed you. Malinoff did a good job over the past week, but it's nice to have Joan Jones back here.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks, guys.
So it's the gang of three amigos. This is the first time that the three of us have done the dance solo.
Yeah, we have.
Ooh, yeah.
This is the first time.
Yeah.
Be gentle.
I have some stories. I don't know if you guys have some stories. I think let's give the floor to Joan.
Okay.
She's returning. She deserved. You earned it.
Yes, you did.
Well, that's nice. Cool. Man, I should do this more often, right? So yesterday, now everybody knows, I've told the story before, that Chris and I go to the same church.
We do.
And so yesterday, we were, we kind of let our granddaughter run around the church after the service was over. There's some things going on. And she's walking around, and a lady approaches me. She's with her husband and her son, her grown son. And she says to me, "Wow, how'd you do that to your arm?" And I said, "Oh, I was playing with my dog, and I put my arm back to brace myself, and I ended up breaking my wrist." And her son says to me, "Oh, you're Joan Jones."
No.
I said, "What the heck?"
That's all he needed to know.
That's all he needed. He said, "Oh, your voice and the story, I put it together. I know who you are."
Isn't that crazy?
That's cool.
Unbelievable. Really unbelievable. Because out of a crowd, that church is pretty darn big.
Yep.
And out of a crowd like that woman could have asked me that question, and her son knew who I was.
It blows my mind how dedicated and great this audience is.
It's amazing.
I've never worked for a radio station with this kind of an audience where just like my wife gets noticed. Like, "Oh, Hand, you Chris Hand's wife?"
Yes.
Like all the time.
Yeah, they do.
It's wild.
So good morning to Adam and his family, if they're listening. And I think they are this morning. So
everybody listens to Nashville's Morning News.
Yes, they do.
With Joan Jones.
Yes.
It's very cool.
Joan and the Gents.
Yeah.
Joan and the Gents. Yeah.
We love it. I'm glad you're back. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All they needed to hear was, "Oh, you broke your wrist playing with your dog. You must be Joan Jones."
It was just incredible. Blew my mind.
It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's as good as my church story where I brought the wrong woman into that movie that one time.
Okay.
That was the greatest.
Did you hear that story?
I have not heard this story. Love to hear it.
We were at World Outreach, and they were doing the 1619 project.
Yeah.
Or the 1916 project. Excuse me.
1916.
It's a movie about abortion. It's a serious movie, and I had a caller who she couldn't bring herself to vote for Trump, but she couldn't bring herself to vote for Kamala, and one of the reasons was abortion. And so I invited her to come to the movie.
Oh.
And she took me up on it. This nice independent listener. By the name of Pam. So I get a text message from Pam. We're already in the auditorium, ready to watch the movie. She said, "I'm here." Okay, great. I'll come out and get you. And so I left, and I bumped into who I thought was Pam, and I led her into the auditorium.
Oh no!
And I sat next to her, and then my phone started ringing, and it was Pam. And I look at the lady next to me, and I said, "Hey, you're pocket dialing me." She said, "No, I'm not. No."
Oh, my goodness.
And then my phone kept ringing. Pam kept calling, and it clicked. And this is a very serious movie. And I look at my wife, and I said, "I don't think this is Pam." And so we're giggling. We're giggling like two kids in church, because at one point I said, who's the woman next to me then?
So who did she? Who was she?
And nobody knows. It's a mystery to this day.
Wow.
And did Pam ever get to come in and watch the movie?
Pam did get in and watch the movie, and I spoke with her after the movie, and I apologized. But yeah, I've seen this other woman that I've led into the church a couple times now, but I can't bring myself to go have a conversation with her.
What's your name again?
By the way, I'm really sorry about that. And then she had made a comment. She's like, "Oh wow, we're right in the middle in the front." I'm like, "Well, yeah, Pam." Like, I'm just saved you a seat.
Yeah, this was the plan, Pam.
So we all have church stories.
Oh, we do.
Did you guys see the new statue in Las Vegas that's been erected?
No.
I have not.
I don't know if erected is the right word.
And maybe it not be the best choice of words, especially with Las Vegas.
It's a 43-foot tall nude statue of Donald Trump.
Nude.
I bet I can tell you what one of the features is.
That's why I said I wasn't sure about the word erected. Like, it makes sense in a statue form, you know?
TDS has taken on a whole new meaning.
Boy, it sure has.
It's 43 feet tall. Do you know what the name of the statue is? It's titled Crooked and Obscene.
Oh, man.
It's a foam and rebar statue, and it's drawn mixed reactions on social media.
I can understand.
And so, first of all, is it on public ground? Where is this sitting?
Or standing.
Or standing.
It's
Thank you, Johnny.
It's towering over Interstate 15 on the way to Utah.
How perfect.
So right after the Mormons come into Vegas for the weekend, that's the last thing they see on their way out. TMZ says the piece of art was constructed from foam and rebar and weighs over 6,000 pounds, featuring a marionette design with movable arms.
It's just incredible.
Yeah, the imagination reels.
That's TDS. I think you nailed it a second ago, Joan.
Yes.
Yeah.
The site says the team behind the statue aims to spark conversations about the upcoming election.
Oh, it's going to start conversations, all right.
That's a conversation starter.
Oh, it sure is.
Did you see naked Trump on the way into work? How could you miss him?
I just don't understand how it's. I mean, they wouldn't allow a statue of a naked woman.
We
right?
should do a naked Kamala statue on the way to Kentucky.
Yeah, we should.
I like it.
Or maybe up here at the roundabout.
At the music circle, yeah, with the naked statues.
Oh, yeah.
We would get called names. We would. We would be called racist and misogynistic.
Oh, very much so.
But it's okay when you do it to Trump. Photos of the statue are all over social media. If you haven't seen them, I've retweeted it on my page at Chris Hand on Air, because nothing starts your day better than a 43-foot tall naked foam and rebar 6,000-pound Donald Trump statue.
This is not considered pornography.
Yeah, why have him naked?
Yeah. Well, you know why they have him naked.
Of course. It's kind of like when I watched, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's Trainwreck, the Woodstock 99. I would suggest everybody watch it just to see why you don't want people like Kamala Harris in charge. You don't want hippies in charge.
No. So I watched some of that Woodstock. Is this the one on HBO Max? Is that the one you're talking about?
I think this one was on the dreaded Netflix.
Okay, so I've watched some of it of one of the Woodstock '99 specials, and it's funny the way they demonize Fred Durst, who's now the biggest conservative out of all of those musicians.
Yes,
it just seems like he's the scapegoat in Woodstock '99 because he's now a conservative.
Yeah, he was the bad boy.
Yeah,
the one I couldn't get over was Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. He goes on stage nude.
Oh.
I mean, nothing.
Got to be confident about yourself if you're going to go on stage nude.
Well, aren't they the tube sock guys?
Yes, they are. But this time there was no tube sock. He was just full,
43
his
feet
flag
tall,
was flying.
foam and rebar, you know?
I thought, man, that's a whole new level right there that I don't even want to see.
Woodstock '99 was different. I remember as a kid, my buddy's stepdad had it on pay-per-view at the house. Remember pay-per-view?
Yes, I remember. Yes,
like he was watching Woodstock on pay-per-view, and it blew my mind. I was like, that's just like a weird thing to watch on pay-per-view.
Yes, it is. And the thing is, it was it shows you how misguided these people are, because Michael Lang, the guy that originally did Woodstock, he had this great idea. He thought was a great idea. Take candles out to all of the audience and light them in memory of the kids at Columbine. Nice thought. But you have an amped up crowd that's already angry, destroying everything. What do you think they're going to do with the candles?
Yeah.
They set the place on fire.
Naturally.
While Jimi Hendrix is playing on the big screen as it ends, everything's going up in flames.
Insane.
Oh,
so this was the Netflix documentary, the one that you watched? All right.
Trainwreck.
All right, I'll have to check it out, and then I'm going to cancel my Netflix subscription.
Me too.
Right after you watch that last
immediately after I watch that one. If you didn't hear, the Netflix co-founder Hastings is getting a little bit of grief because Reed Hastings, he donated $7 million to Kamala Harris's campaign.
Well, he's the one that also made the Obamas did that docuseries, whatever that they've been doing. I mean, he's the one that paved the way for that and is paying them untold amounts of money to make these leftist docuseries. That's what they do.
Has any of the Obama documentaries on Netflix really hit?
I haven't heard, anything about them that makes them so special.
Yeah,
it's just that it's the Obamas.
I think the only thing I saw that they actually had a hit with was the movie they did.
That's right. What was the name of that?
I forget now.
Exactly.
And I forgot the movie.
There you go. That tells you everything.
Yeah, I mean, now Dan kind of thought it wasn't too bad. I thought it looked like a college. It looked like some film a college student had turned in.
That was the one where they rented the Airbnb and then the world stopped, the internet went out, and then they blamed white people. I think that's what it was, right?
It was pretty close.
The clips were like, we can't trust the white people. We can't trust them. They're like laying in bed. They're like, we can't.
Well, it was so weird. They never really explained anything. Like one person in the family had fallout from some kind of nuclear, and they were losing their teeth and their hair, but everybody else was okay. And for some unknown reason, the animals would all show up, like deer, and they would just surround people. And there was no explanation why. It was just a strange movie.
Very liberal. So
yes.
There's just a lot of stuff happening, no explanation why. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, just say, wow.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Just be in awe. Yeah. Be in awe, will you?
It's the Obamas, after all.
They're so good. They're so great.
They don't even have to try.
We love them. We love them here.
Yeah.
Out of all the former presidents that now get paid millions upon millions to make documentaries and then watch the sea levels rise on Martha's Vineyard for us, my favorite are the Obamas.
With their homes right on the water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always loved about Al Gore. He had a beachfront home.
Well, they take one for the team. They're out there on the front lines of climate change.
Yeah.
Making sure that if those sea levels rise, that they're going to be the ones to ring the alarm. That's what that is.
That's why Al's out there on the beach.
Thank them for their service. That's why Joe Biden was on Rehoboth Beach all weekend.
Oh, yeah. He's watching. He's making sure.
He's keeping a watchful eye.
Right after they fly their planes into their locations that are burning a lot of fuel. And
you got to take one for the team. These selfless heroes.
Yes, that big carbon footprint.
Yeah, exactly. It's 5:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTM. My name is Chris Hand. I'm filling in for Dan Mandis today. Dan is with the family, wishing him the best of luck, welcoming that new grandbaby into their family. So excited for those guys. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Joan Jones is back in the newsroom, and she's going to let us know what is on the way here on Super Talk.
Well, Chris, the tragedy of Hurricane Helene continues to unfold this morning, and also the morning today for a former governor of Tennessee. Those stories coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Super text line is open. I got a text here from Jeff. Said turned on my radio this morning and thought I was really late to work. No, Jeff, you're good, man. You're good. Don't stress. I'm filling in for Dan Mandis today. They're welcoming a new member to the family. We're wishing them all the best. Thoughts and prayers with Dan, his daughter, and as they welcome that new grandbaby into the family. I'm just so excited for him, man. I told him, listen, take tomorrow off too if you want. Knowing Dan, he'll be back here working hard tomorrow.
I think he'll be here at the end of this shift.
Yeah, he might. Yeah. He might make the gang of 4 at 8:35.
And he might even do another show somewhere.
Well, I told him, even in the lead up to having the new grandbaby, I said, Dan, you could take a false alarm call and I can fill in for you if you want.
There you go.
You might as well. You only get this opportunity but once every so often.
That's true.
You can get a false alarm call.
Oh, sure.
And take a day off. Oh, I can't do that.
He wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't. Dan should be back tomorrow. If he's not, I will be here, and I'm happy to do it. I hope he takes me up on it, but you know Dan. We all know Dan. He'll probably be back tomorrow. As we continue today, I do want to get into what happened over the weekend during college football. That was something special.
They're eating the dogs.
They're eating the dogs. What happened with Alabama and Georgia? Donald Trump came in and received a hero's welcome. On the flip side, Tim Waltz also went to a college football game over the weekend. Coach Tim went to the Michigan versus Minnesota game.
Pumped up the crowd, did he?
Well, a couple things that were weird. He's the governor of Minnesota, and he went and rooted for Michigan.
That's odd.
That's odd. He got booed by the locals there in Ann Arbor, and he even flipped a kid off on the way out of the stadium.
Tim did?
Tim did.
That's incredible.
Because the kid had the audacity to say, Trump 2024.
That'll get you every time.
If he is that thin-skinned and he can't deal with that at the football game, I can't wait to see how he handles J.D. Vance at the debate. Which we want to see you there. Hop Springs and Murfreesboro. Make sure you're out there for our VP debate watch party. Details online, 997WTN.com. When we get back, we're going to dive in more to what happened at these football games over the weekend. It's Super Talk, 997 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Well, good morning. It's now 6, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There is some patchy fog this morning. We'll get warmer later on today, but that fog may be having an effect on our roads now. We've got an accident. This is south side in Davidson County. It's I-40 westbound after Fessler's Lane. That's exit 212, and that's causing some delays. And another one, it's this one in Rural Hill. It's involving some injuries here. Murfreesboro Pike at Rural Hill Road. So be careful. And we've got traffic and the weather coming up in just a moment as well. Now, the death toll from Hurricane Helene just now topping 88 people. And 30 of those deaths happened in Asheville, North Carolina, where some people are still stranded in their cars.
Can't get home. I haven't seen my kids. I'm tired. I'm hungry. Still have no power. I have no gas to get to my kids. I don't know where to get gas. So there's that.
That's just heartbreaking. Thousands are still without power. They have turned to the overflowing rivers to get buckets of water so that they can just flush their toilets. In Cock County, 2 deaths have been reported. The cleanup is underway there, and this roofer says he'll be working free of charge.
We'll start tomorrow. We'll be here all week and probably next week if they need it. Whoever needs it. We've just been passing out cards to anybody that we can find. We just want to help. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, meantime, the governor of North Carolina is calling this storm an unprecedented tragedy. ABC's Andrew Dimbart has more.
Charlotte station WSOC sharing video from above Buncombe County, where the death toll has climbed to at least 30 people, home after home, surrounded by floodwater. In Asheville, North Carolina, Helene and a separate system dumped up to 30 inches of rain in nearby mountains, triggering flash floods and landslides. Asheville now largely cut off by washed out roads, a lack of power, and no cell phone service.
And we'll continue covering that tragic story this morning. In other news, the man who was the 43rd governor of Tennessee has died. Winfield Dunn died peacefully Saturday afternoon, surrounded by his family. He was 97. He had been elected governor in 1970, and he's credited with helping to create the statewide kindergarten program. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
With the Fed's next decision on interest rates a little over a month away, investors are looking for tea leaves in a couple of key reports on jobs this week. And Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaks to economists gathering today in Nashville. Stock futures were slightly lower today after the major indexes finished mixed on Friday. The Dow Jones rose 138 points to a new record high, 42,313. The S&P and Nasdaq Composite both slipped to close out last week. Shares in Stellantis plunged 12% in Europe this morning after the automaker pared down its 2024 guidance. The parent to Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Maserati blames deteriorating industry dynamics and new competition from China. And the next new soft drink flavor is a mocktail classic. 7-Up confirms that it's come up with a Shirley Temple soda flavor. It'll be available starting in the middle of October, but only through the holidays. It's gone by New Year's.
Stock futures all pointing down this morning. Dow futures minus 36, the Nasdaq futures losing 23 points, and the S&P futures are minus 5. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Couple of problems this morning. One in Southside, it's an accident. The right shoulder is blocked. That's I-40 westbound after Fessler's Lane. And another one this morning in Rural Hill. This one involves some injuries. It's Murfreesboro Pike at Rural Hill Road. And you may need a few extra minutes this morning. Looks like we do have some fog and maybe some mist happening this morning, and that may slow you down. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Information fueled,
opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
6:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand, filling in for the one and only Dan Mandis. Joan Jones is back in the newsroom. Johnny B producing. And you guys on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. Appreciate you being here. Dan could be having a grandbaby any moment. We'll keep you posted. Sending thoughts and prayers to the entire Mandis family as they welcome this new one in. It's exciting times, man.
It is.
It's the best. It's the best.
His heart is about to grow 3 sizes.
Yeah.
And he's
so
going to
cool.
cry.
Oh, he's going to cry like a baby.
Definitely going to cry.
The hands are going to be moving.
Every time we had a baby, I just wept uncontrollably. Yes. You can't help it. It could be one of the only times that you actually get to assist God in a miracle.
That's true.
And so it's so cool. We're so happy for Dan. I told him to take tomorrow off as well. You know Dan, he'll probably be back tomorrow.
Might be back today.
Yeah. Dan might not let me close out the show. Knowing
we take bets on like when he's going to come back?
I feel like smart money is 5 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like that's what it is. I felt like smart money over the weekend was also on Alabama. You know, don't listen. You like the radio segue?
I did. I love that.
This is what we do.
Good, yeah.
I wouldn't have said this to Matt Murphy on Friday. But I think we all knew smart money was on Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Donald Trump showed up to the Alabama football game, and he received an absolute hero's welcome. As soon as the crowd noticed him in that box, they went absolutely bananas over the weekend. Just a stadium full of people appreciating number 45. You got to love it. You got to love it.
And he was waving to them all. They were waving back. It was really cool.
There's a couple different views of that moment. The ones from inside the press box don't give it the credit, doesn't do it the service that the ones from outside the press box give it. Because, inside the press box, you kind of hear the golf clap, and it's a little bit muffled from the outside noise. That crowd shot when they realize Trump is there and they go bananas, that's doing it justice. I mean, you can hear the roar come in.
Just wow.
The entire stadium just going bleep crazy for him. You got to love it. You really do. And Donald Trump was there. The memes were there as well all weekend long. The memes were going full bore, and they were using this.
They're eating the dogs.
That's what they kept using all weekend long.
And so Alabama proved him right.
The Alabama kids even had stickers that said they're eating the dogs.
I love it.
They were all wearing these shirts. They're eating the dogs.
DAWGS.
Yes, exactly. You got to love it when the memes come full circle.
They're eating the dogs.
What a perfect game to do that at.
It's so good.
They're eating the dogs.
That's it. That's all you need.
It's too funny.
The best one I saw is so there's a lot of reaction coming out of the game. Trump is there. The crowd is really into it. But one of the best videos I saw was the crowd at a bar when during the Alabama game, a Kamala Harris commercial comes on.
Oh, boy.
Get ready for this. So they're watching the game at the bar. Everybody's having a good time. And then I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message. And wait until you hear what the crowd does. Could you tell when the commercial came on?
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell the difference. I'm going to play it again.
Yeah, so they're hanging out in the bar. Everybody's having a Coors Light.
Yeah.
No Bud Lights in that crowd.
Definitely not.
No.
But they're enjoying themselves, and then Kamala Harris pops up on the screen. She couldn't even get a pass at the bars.
Well, it's like I told a family member that moved to Birmingham from Phoenix, and they're very left-leaning. I said, why in the world are you moving to Birmingham?
You were at home in Phoenix.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
You were at home in Phoenix. You're going into Trump country, baby.
That's a different mindset. I don't know if it's gonna compute. Now, Tim Walz also was at college football over the weekend. Tim Walz, the same guy that's going to be debating J.D. Vance tomorrow evening as we watch it live from Hop Springs in Murfreesboro, 997WTN.com for more details on that. But Tim Walz showed up to University of Michigan in liberal Ann Arbor. This is one of the most liberal spots in Michigan, which is crazy because it's Michigan we're talking about. He showed up and he got booed on his way in.
Whoa.
That's in Ann Arbor, Michigan. This is outside as the motorcade is pulling up to the arena, the big house. Mercilessly booed.
Wow.
Now, this is also the governor of Minnesota showing up to the Michigan game to root on Michigan as they play Minnesota. It doesn't make much sense, but that's Coach Tim. That's the left.
Yeah, real solid thinking there.
And then on his way out of the game, somebody yells, "Trump 2024, baby." And this is inside the stadium. Tim Walz is walking out. Somebody lets him know who they're voting for, and Tim Walz actually flips the fan off.
Oh, yeah. Trump 2024, baby!
And then there's the middle finger.
Man, that is so severely thin-skinned. How many times does he hear it I mean, people must surround him. They do the same thing to Trump on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
If he's going to be that thin-skinned at a football game when somebody says Trump 2024, what's going to happen tomorrow night when J.D. Vance brings up stolen valor?
Oh, boy.
Exactly.
What's going to happen when he brings up the lies about IVF? Honestly, everybody says that Tim Walz has a bit of an anger problem. That's what they say about old Coach Tim. He's got thin skin and a short temper. I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow night at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro when we watch that debate with you. We're going to be there starting at 3 o'clock. Brian's going to be doing his whole show. Then myself, Mandis Murphy, will be joining him on the air. Fox Nation is going to be there. The Glock store is going to be there giving away tons of prizes, including range sessions and a Glock. We want you there to experience it all. We definitely want you there. I got a few updates on that debate. They've officially released the rules, and I'll bring that to you after we check the roads real quick with Joan Jones. 30 seconds here, no commercials on Super Talk. Oh, sorry, Christy. I said Joan Jones.
She'll get over it.
I feel bad. I don't want to hurt Christy's feelings.
She'll be okay. We'll talk to her.
Christy O'Brien's a valuable member of the team.
Yes, she is.
She's no Joan Jones.
No, she's not.
If Christy was out, I don't know if the audience would miss Christy as much as they miss Joan.
Probably not.
I'm just going on
Nothing against you, Christy, because, we love you.
We love Christy, but I'm just saying.
Just stating a fact.
So we got a debate coming up tomorrow night, and it's going to be fantastic. We want you to join us at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro. J.D. Vance versus Tim Walz. Now, J.D. Vance was on the campaign trail over the weekend as well. He went to Primanti Brothers in Pennsylvania. Well, he tried to go to Primanti Brothers in Pennsylvania, and then the management said, you can't come in. Oh, that's That's strange. Yeah. Primanti Brothers, the same spot that kicked their actual customers out to replace them with paid actors so that way Kamala Harris could do a campaign stop there. They wouldn't even let J.D. Vance inside the building. So this happened in Western Pennsylvania over the weekend. North for Sales is the area. And the Pittsburgh-based sandwich company Primanti Brothers is now facing a boycott after they abruptly canceled a scheduled campaign event for J.D. Vance at one of its locations. Again, this is the same sandwich shop that had no problem kicking out their own customers to flood the restaurant with fake paid Kamala Harris supporters so that way they could do a little campaign stop there. Well, J.D. Vance had the restaurant flooded with real people ordering real food and spending their real money, and that was a bridge too far for the management team there. There's footage coming out from inside the restaurant that shows a lot of the Vance supporters in there just completely upset. They kicked them out. They kicked out their own customers for Kamala Harris, but they won't even let J.D. Vance walk in there. It's honestly incredible. It's incredible. Listen to what this one woman said while she's inside the restaurant and J.D. Vance and his motorcade are outside the restaurant.
So we are here at Primanti Brothers in North for Sales to see J.D. Vance. And Primanti's hates money. They just lost about $2,000 worth of money because they said if Vance gets out of the vehicle that he's in, which is right here, then they will call the police.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Now, in response, Primanti Brothers issued a statement on social media explaining that the event had confusion. It caused some confusion for the staff due to lack of prior notice. We were so confused. People are coming in here and they're ordering sandwiches and lunch. What? What is this?
We're not used to this.
This is so weird. Yeah, that's their statement. Without any advance notice, today's campaign stop caused some momentary confusion for our staff. However, Senator Vance and his team were welcomed into our restaurant shortly after and engaged with other guests inside and on the property. Vance, addressing the incident when he spoke in the parking lot, remained very diplomatic, and he didn't criticize the restaurant. I'll criticize the restaurant. It's an overrated restaurant. I lived outside of Pittsburgh for a while. It's not the best. Like, it's like a thing to do if you want to do like the whole Pittsburgh experience and get your French fries on your sandwich, but meh.
Not a fan.
Not a huge fan. Not a huge fan at all. J.D. Vance still went out there and met the people that wanted to meet him. And he still even paid for all the food.
And left a big tip.
Yes, that was ordered. You're absolutely right. He left a big tip, and he reminded people no tax on tips.
We went in there, we paid for everybody's food, we gave him a nice tip. And, of course, when I gave him a nice tip, I said, no taxes on tip if you vote for Trump.
So smart.
Yeah, you got to do it. He's smart to remain diplomatic, too.
Yes, he is.
Listen, if the restaurant doesn't want you to go in, well, have the people come outside. Meet them where they're at. It's brilliant. You know, they would never treat Tim Walz this way. We do have that debate coming up. They've released some of the rules for the debate, and they're going to try and make this leaning in Tim Walz's favor. Are they not? Do you feel that as well? CBS announced the VP debate rules. Candidates will fact-check each other. Okay.
Yeah.
And moderators reserve the right to mute hot mics on October 1st. CBS News, which is hosting the vice presidential debate between Walz and Vance, announced along with the debate rules that it would be the candidates' responsibility to fact-check each other during the event, rather than relying on moderators for that role. I do think that that's going to help Vance a lot more than Tim Walz. I think Tim Walz is going to be flustered from the moment he gets onto that debate stage. They say that he's nervous behind the scenes, and wait until you find out who his stand-in is for J.D. Vance.
This is great.
Spoiler alert, they're not sending their best. It's 6:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Up ahead here on Super Talk 99.7, the Tennessee County where 70 people are still missing after Hurricane Helene. Coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
628 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Tim Walz talks a good game. He says that he's ready to debate J.D. Vance, but behind the scenes, it doesn't sound like they're that confident. It doesn't. All right, so the guy standing in for J.D. Vance for debate prep is Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, baby.
That's the best that they could do.
What?
That's pretty sad.
That's who they've had standing in for Vance. Maybe they said, yeah, you're a veteran too. You should do it.
Hey, Pete.
CNN is also reporting that Walz is worried that he'll let Harris down, according to campaign staffers. He's worried he's going to let Harris down. Spoiler alert, you already have. Also, wasn't there another guy that probably could have done a lot better in this debate that you could have chose for VP, but he was a little bit too Jewish?
Exactly.
Yeah, that was Josh Shapiro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Walz's team is trying to manage his headspace. That's what's being reported. It's not a good look. It's not a good look if that's what's being reported before the debate. We want to see you at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro for the debate. Details online, 997WTN.com. It's 6:30 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
6:30 it is. I'm Joan Jones with the latest news, and we have a blanket of fog sitting across the Nashville area this morning, so be careful heading out. There is an accident in Rural Hill on Murfreesboro Pike. It's at Rural Hill Road and is causing some delays this morning. And there may be other spots where it's slowed down by that fog. Be careful. We've got that forecast and traffic coming up. Well, across the southeast, widespread damage still rolling in the wake of Hurricane Helene. The storm now claiming more than 80 lives and knocking out power to millions. Western North Carolina, especially hard hit. At least 30 deaths were reported in the Asheville area. ABC's Faith Abubre is there reporting on the recovery efforts.
In Asheville, North Carolina, Helene and a separate system dumping 14 inches of rain combined and as much as 30 inches in nearby mountains, triggering flash flooding and landslides. More than 500 National Guards members joining local emergency responders, conducting search and rescue missions, delivering supplies, and working to restore infrastructure. Asheville's water system severely damaged too.
We're going to be cleaning up a long time.
Residents facing long lines for gas all weekend.
And here in Tennessee, more than 70 people are still missing in Unicoi County. Many family members there holding up photos of their loved ones at a press conference yesterday. The county's emergency manager on the effort to find everyone.
Many of the first responders who are working right now do not have water. They don't have electricity. And they're leaving their families to come help others.
Yeah, it is a pretty emotional episode right now. And some are telling heartbreaking stories about the loss of their loved ones.
Her sister called her family to say goodbye because they knew they weren't going to make it. So they were able to call them and talk to them. She talked to her kids.
It is just so heartbreaking. Now, Saturday morning, FEMA announced that federal disaster assistance is now available to the state of Tennessee. Some of the counties taking that federal government up on that include Carter, Cocke, Greene, Hamblin, Johnson, and Unicoi counties. Stock futures this morning are all pointing down, with the Dow futures now down 72. The NASDAQ futures are minus 59, and S&P futures are losing 13 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather still to come. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Well, we do have fog, and it's laying a blanket right over the Nashville area this morning. Got to be careful. Murfreesboro Pike and Royal Hill. There's an accident. This one involves some injuries, and it's right at Royal Hill Road. It's been there for about 20 minutes. It may be a while longer. Watch it as you're headed out today. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.637 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning. My name is Chris Hand, filling in for the one and only Dan Mandis, who is hopefully going to be welcoming a healthy, beautiful baby into the world with as a granddad this time. First time for Dan. I mean, that's a big deal, man. So Dan's off today. Sending thoughts and prayers to the entire family. Hope everybody's healthy and happy, and you know that everybody does everything they need to do. Best of luck. We were talking about the debate. J.D. Vance, Tim Walz, that's happening tomorrow night. We're going to be doing it live at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro. We want you there. It's going to be a party. Last time we were at Hop Springs was Trump v. Biden. It feels like an entire political season has happened since then. It's just the entire landscape has changed. But what hasn't really changed is the facts here. And the facts are stubborn things, and the left has to deal with those. They have to reckon with those. Behind the scenes, they're saying that Tim Walz is very nervous. He's got Pete Buttigieg standing in for him, helping him prep for the debate with with J.D. Vance. Not sure if that's the right move or not. But Scott Jennings on CNN on Friday just roasted Tim Walz. It was beautiful. You got to hear it for yourself.
Well, Walz is a buffoon. I'm sorry. This guy, he's the only school teacher in America who brags that none of his students can get into an Ivy League school.
I mean, I don't know if I need to play much more than that 7 seconds. It really does hammer it home. He's the only school teacher in America that brags his kids never got into an Ivy League school. Yeah.
I just like he's a buffoon.
He's a buffoon.
That's just said it all.
He's a buffoon.
Well, Walz is a buffoon. I'm sorry. This guy, he's the only school teacher in America who brags that none of his students can get into an Ivy League school.
I had 24 kids in my high school class, and none of them went to Yale.
It's such a weird flex. It's such a weird flex. I'm just an everyday, common Midwestern man. None of my kids went to Yale. Like, oh.
None of my broadcast students made it into radio.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like that's an indictment on the American education system, actually, sir. But that's it. That's a flex. You know, because they're trying to demonize J.D. Vance, pulling himself up from his bootstraps, right? Having a mother in the throes of addiction, being raised by his grandmother, taking himself to the Marines, getting himself through Ohio State, eventually making it to Yale. That is a bad thing now in America in 2024. That's what Tim Walz wants you to think. I think buffoon is putting it nicely.
Went to Yale.
He's had one consequential press interaction with our Dana Bash, who asked him about the fabrications in his own resume, and his answer was essentially, me no understand words good.
He said he's had one interaction with Dana Bash, and his reaction to the stolen valor was, me no understand words good.
Off to a great start.
Scott Jennings is just a gift over at CNN. We're not worthy. We're not worthy of a guy like Scott Jennings working at CNN.
One consequential press interaction with our Dana Bash, who asked him about the fabrications in his own resume, and his answer was essentially, me no understand words good.
My wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar's not always correct, but again,
I mean, he's a buffoon. He's on a free ride.
I love the reporter in the back that you can hear, the other CNN anchor. Scott, come on, Scott. They can't argue with the information that Scott Jennings is presenting, but they'll go, Scott, come on, Scott.
He's a buffoon. He's on a free ride for running under.
Scott, come on, Scott. You know which presidential candidate this network is backing. Scott, come on.
You're screwing it up for us, Scott. Come on, man.
Scott, Jake Tapper is very silent throughout this whole thing. I think Jake Tapper secretly just absolutely hates everything to do with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Because he's sitting there, he's just kind of like silently nodding. He's like, he's right,
He's on a free ride for running under Harris. He gets very little press. They don't let him talk to the press for a reason. I want one thing out of this debate. I want J.D. Vance to go out there and get under his skin. He has legendary hot, short temper. A lot of governors do, but apparently he does. I want J.D. Vance to go out there and have him explain why he is denigrating J.D. Vance's story. Small town America ends up making something better out of his life, which is something we should want for every kid.
Yeah, we should want that for every kid, and Tim Walz is. He's absolutely denigrating it. I can't wait to see J.D. Vance make Tim Walz answer questions that the press won't make him answer. I can't wait. I can't. You've never had any of your kids go on to Yale. Are you proud of that? Are you proud of that? It's a question that needs to be asked. We need that question. We also need them to move the conversation to the border. We have to move the conversation to the border. They promised us on day one it's going to be secure. Kamala Harris is vice president now, and there's shocking data that was released on Friday that really drives the point home. The data, the numbers are wild. Wild. Federal numbers released Friday show that more than 15,000 illegal aliens currently living in the U.S. are convicted or accused of homicide. This is from the New York Post, and you probably heard the reports. They released it on Friday because they wanted it to go away. They wanted it to be buried in the weekend news cycle, and they don't want you talking about it. But there were 662,566 non-citizens with criminal histories on ICE's docket, national docket, as of July 21st, 2024. 13,099 criminally convicted murderers. And they let them into the country. Rep. Gonzalez tweeted all this, and he really broke a huge story. Under Biden and Harris, we understand that millions upon millions of illegal aliens are being released into the country. But these new numbers that they've dropped on us are nothing short of shocking. Federal authorities are aware, but not currently detaining 13,099 illegal aliens living in the U.S. who have been convicted of homicide. 1,845 who were accused of doing it, according to the data set. The document doesn't make clear how many of the murderers are currently incarcerated in federal, state, or local facilities, or how many of them are no longer in custody. But there's a lot more numbers to go along with this of the illegal aliens that are being released into our communities that are known criminals. I'm going to bring you those numbers after we check the roads real quick with our friend Christy O'Brien. It's 6:45 on Super Talk. No commercials here, just the update on the roads. Thank you, Christy. It is 6:45 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, filling in for Dan Mandis today as they welcome in Grandbaby Mandis, wishing them nothing but the best. Hope mom is healthy and happy. Hope baby is healthy and happy. Grateful to be with you today for the morning show with Nashville's Morning News. If you don't ever get the chance to listen to me, that's okay. We probably work at the exact same time, but you can always catch my show on the podcast page on Apple and Spotify. We're talking about the numbers that have been unveiled by Rep. Gonzalez. Under the Biden-Harris administration, we understand millions upon millions upon millions of illegal aliens have been released into the U.S. And they're waiting their court date, right? Sometimes years down the road. No word on if they're actually going to show up. But they're awaiting their date. But we learned some really disturbing numbers. Really disturbing. Federal authorities are aware of, but not currently detaining, over 13,000 illegal aliens living in the U.S. who have been convicted of homicide. Yes, you heard that right. 13,099 illegal aliens are currently living in the United States that we know have been convicted of homicide. 13,099. You divide that by 50, that's over 261 convicted illegal alien murderers per state.
And just to make your point, just this morning, 1,449 illegal immigrants have entered the country.
Gotta love it.
Just this morning.
Don't worry, though. On day one, Kamala Harris promises to be tough on the border. And they released this report on Friday because they wanted it to be hidden in the news. That's where news reports go to die, Friday afternoon, because people go about their lives over the weekend. This is by design, make no mistake about it. And while the mainstream media won't cover this, we certainly will. There's very little coverage over these numbers all weekend long. In fact, on Friday night, after this news dropped, well, geez, ABC and CBS were largely silent over this report. Shocker. So the report came from Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It revealed that over 420,000 illegal aliens convicted of various crimes are currently free in the United States. CBS and ABC, they didn't cover it on Friday during their primetime evening shows. And the report follows what ICE sent to Texas Representative Tony Gonzalez and other members of Congress, detailing that as of July, we got almost 500,000, 425,431 convicted criminal migrants who entered the U.S. illegally through the southern border and they're awaiting deportation. An additional 222,000 have pending charges. The report provided breakdowns of the crimes committed by these migrants. 62,000 plus convicted of assault, 14,000 plus convicted of burglary, 56,000 plus convicted of drug-related offenses, 13,000 plus convicted of homicide, 2,500 plus convicted of kidnapping, over 15,000 convicted of sexual assault. And if these numbers alarm you, you're not alone. These are alarming numbers. But the mainstream media didn't feel the need to cover this at all. Fox News brought up the fact that NBC Nightly News was the only major network to mention the ICE findings in its Friday primetime broadcast. Only NBC. That should be downright criminal. This should be downright criminal. It's lying by omission. NBC's coverage, though, was brief. Didn't really dig into the numbers or the specifics of the report. And of course, right? Of course. Instead, the network only covered the findings that more than 13,000 migrants had previously been convicted of homicide or currently free in the U.S. It's just and by the way, ABC World News Tonight and CBS's Evening News didn't even cover the findings from the letter sent to Congress during their primetime newscasts. On the flip side, though, they did cover, and quite glowingly, Harris's recent stop at the border. And they applauded her latest immigration proposals. You did so good. You did so good. The release of this report coincides with that border stop in Arizona for Kamala Harris on Friday. She's been walking back her previous stances on the border, walking back her stances on illegal immigration not being an actual crime, and more. She's trying to channel her best Trump impression when it comes to the border and how she's so tough. But even her border visit was a bit of a joke. She went down there for her photo op wearing a $62,000 Tiffany's necklace. Nothing says I'm from the middle class like a $62,000 necklace during a photo op. VP of the Border Union, Art Del Cueto, went scorched earth on her border visit, calling it just that, a photo op and a Hail Mary before the election.
Look, I stood with President Trump when he actually went to the border, to areas that is, notorious for drug smuggling and human smuggling. He stood there. He spoke to the agents. He's been speaking to the boots on the ground for over 8 years. He's spoken to them, asking what's going on. He's gone through the National Border Patrol Council numerous times. He stood there for over an hour in over 100-degree heat with victims of families from illegal aliens, and he spoke to reporters.
From ICE today.
Vice President Harris went down there and she spoke to 2 members of management. She didn't speak to agents. She spoke to 2 members of management. And I'm going to tell you, I bet money that even those 2 members, I feel bad for them because I guarantee you they didn't even want to be there.
Jeez. I'll bring you more from Art Del Cueto, the Vice President of the Border Patrol Union, on the way. It's 6:52. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis on Nashville's Morning News.
Up ahead here in the news, local rescue crews that are headed east to help the victims of Hurricane Helene. Also, what do you get when you sit down, sing hymns, and pray outside an abortion clinic? Those stories at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, good morning. It's 7:01 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Watch it. We do have some fog on the roads this morning, and it may be causing some problems as you head in. We'll tell you all about that with traffic and the forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Helene is long gone, but a massive storm is still having a huge impact on parts of eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina.
In Nashville, North Carolina, Helene and a separate system dumped up to 30 inches of rain in nearby mountains, triggering flash floods and landslides. Asheville now largely cut off by washed out roads, a lack of power, and no cell phone service. The city's water system severely damaged, some residents expressing frustration at the pace of the government's response.
ABC's Andrew Dimbert there. Now, mid-state search and rescue crews are on the hand. They're going now to Unicoi County to lend a hand. Columbia Fire and Rescue, Spring Hill, Maury, and Lawrence County first responders, they've all said that their crews are taking part in the operations. And TDOT has some 300 workers from across the state assessing the damage. They're working to clear that debris, too. TDOT's Will Reed calls the effect on the roads and the bridges catastrophic.
This event is in excess of a 500-year event, which what that means is, for a matter of context, we design our interstate bridges over hydraulic crossings for 100-year events. So these are truly historic numbers that we are seeing.
Other news in the morning, keeping an eye on the West Coast today, where a dock workers' strike could start tomorrow. Negotiations have stalled. It doesn't appear that President Biden is prepared to step in. ABC's Rhiannon Alley has more.
Negotiations between the Longshoremen's Union and the U.S. Maritime Alliance, representing the shippers and ports, are at a standstill. Union members are demanding higher wages and protections from automation. President Biden has the power to stop the strike, but says he won't do that. He's urging both sides to negotiate fairly and quickly.
Now, according to the National Retail Federation, a one-day shutdown takes 3 to 5 days to recover from. So the longer this goes on, the worse it could get. On Friday, Nashville federal judge Alita Trauger sentenced a 60-year-old woman to 8 months in prison for taking part in a sit-in protest at an abortion center in Mount Juliet in 2021. Heather Idoni is already serving time on similar charges out of Washington, D.C. Now, at that sentencing hearing on Friday, Idoni was allowed to speak. She told the judge she just wants to be home holding her new grandson. Idoni was convicted on a Reconstruction-era statute that was intended for use against members of the Ku Klux Klan. The Biden administration has been using it to prosecute pro-lifers across the country. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stock futures have been lower this morning. Dow futures are down 60 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. So we do have some fog, and maybe that's what's causing these problems this morning. We have an accident, Paragon Mills at Nolensville Pike, south of Harding Place. Another one at Ryman Auditorium. It's John Lewis Way at Commerce Street, an accident reported by police there. And a stalled out car in Hermitage. This is blocking the left shoulder on I-40 westbound right at Stewart's Ferry Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Information fueled, opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
We talk news.
7:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Good morning. How are you? Johnny B producing. Joan Jones back in the newsroom. Welcome back, Joan. Where is Dan? I know. You're wondering, where is Dan? Is Dan okay? Dan is okay.
He's fine.
Dan
is crying somewhere.
Dan's great. He may be off today, but he's still sending me in show prep.
Is he really?
Only Dan Mandis.
During the break. Dan Mandis is off today because he's expecting a grandbaby to be joining the family. And he told me that there's a lot of waiting around. So let's look at this story. That's what
He's sending you stories.
Didn't somebody tell him to go boil water and tear some rags? Isn't that what guys are supposed to do?
I think that's technically what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. But
Dan,
he even does this on the beach.
Does he?
Oh, yeah. Even when they're on the beach, he will send.
When he's on his Disney cruises?
Yeah.
So, listen, Dan is off today. He's got a grandbaby on the way. Wishing them nothing but the best of luck. We'll bring you guys updates as they become available. For the Mandis family, this is the biggest story of the day, as it should be. Congratulations to everybody involved, and we'll let you know how things go over there. All right, the story that Dan sent me, that Dan wants to make sure that I bring up to you, I'm gonna cover it for Dan. That way he can relax. He knows that nobody's missing the news.
This will be a little gift, a little grandbaby gift.
This is for Dan. The House oversight to investigate FCC over George Soros and Odyssey. This is what Dan is sending me while he's waiting for his grandbaby to be born. The U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Oversight and Accountability is opening an investigation on the FCC for allegedly bypassing standard procedures to benefit billionaire businessman and investor George Soros in a potential acquisition involving Odyssey. You've probably heard about this. George Soros buying a gang of radio stations in Odyssey. We've covered this before on my show, which is normally 9 to noon. Today, filling in for Dan. I don't think it's a huge deal. I'll get into it in a second here. The House Oversight are now investigating. America First has also launched an investigation into the FCC for apparently fast tracking this purchase. America First Legal, they've filed a bunch of lawsuits like this. They actually do good work. Their story reads like this. Today, America First Legal launched an investigation into the FCC's apparent accelerated approval of Soros Fund Management LLC's acquisition of a significant stake in the prominent radio network Odyssey. Goes on to say Odyssey is the second largest radio network in the United States. Over 200 stations across 40 markets. It reaches over 165 million Americans and includes top conservative talk shows such as Hannity, Glenn Beck, Dan Bongino. In February of 2024, Soros bought $400 million of Odyssey's debt and subsequently asked the FCC to approve a change in Odyssey's ownership. Federal law generally prohibits granting licenses to or allowing foreign nationals or foreign corporations to hold such licenses. When it involves circumstances where the grant or holding of a license would involve an entity that has more than 25% foreign ownership. So this is what they're worried about. I will say this, the America First Legal, they kind of mess with the language there in the beginning. You know, they say, these radio stations are home to Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck and Bongino. And yeah, they carry syndicated programming of Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity and Dan Bongino, but those aren't the decision makers at Odyssey. They're not controlling programming. They're paying and having the show broadcast. Like there's a customer and a business relationship there. They're not controlling content. I mean, for Hannity and Beck, they're distributed by Premier Radio Networks, which is like a big umbrella corporation of that really distributes a lot of the syndicated programming. Dan Bongino is sent out by our version at Cumulus, Westwood One. They syndicate Dan Bongino. I still, and maybe I'm the only one, I don't think that this is as big of a deal as a lot of people are making it. People worry about the conservative radio being silenced. And I would just point out with Odyssey, there's only a couple conservative radio stations that they have anyway. The 200 stations sound large. When you get rid of the top 40 stations, and then you get rid of the hip hop stations, and then you get rid of the country stations, we're whittling this thing down to really, really small numbers here. When you break it down on the news side for Odyssey, do they own some big properties in news? Absolutely. WWJ in Detroit, classic news station, already leans hopelessly liberal. Already. And I worked in the same building as WWJ when I spent time in Detroit. What about Pittsburgh's KDKA? Classic call letters, classic news talk station, already hopelessly liberal. Just the facts. So George Soros buying those radio stations aren't going to change the business model for those markets. When it comes to conservative talk radio that Odyssey owns, they own WRVA in Richmond, Virginia, another building that I've had the pleasure of working in. The signal is so small. Like we're in an echo chamber here, and we think that all radio stations have these massive signals. WRVA in Richmond really only covers the downtown area. And then once you get out into the suburbs, you lose it anyway. I don't think it moves the needle. Another one that is a conservative talk radio station that Odyssey owns is in St. Louis. So that's St. Louis. I don't think that you're really going to change the tide in St. Louis with a conservative talk radio station. And again, most of the programming on that is syndicated.
I have a little bit of sort of insider info about this.
Tell me.
So I used to work at WPHT in Philly, and they are also one of the Odyssey stations that was bought by Soros. They're taking, to me, the headline was, whoa, they're taking Mark Levin off the air. But they're replacing him with Tom Shalhoub, who's also a conservative talk guy. So really, it's not changing there either. And that's Philadelphia. It's a conservative station. Philadelphia is not a conservative area at all. So it doesn't look like they're doing any harm in that area.
Yeah, I mean, me and my wife have butted heads over this because my wife has spent a lot of time in radio too, and she's like, well, but it's about what they're going to slip in subliminally on those music stations, on the country stations, and I get that argument, but as far as like the conservative talk radio side goes, I don't see it changing the game at all. I just don't. And maybe I'm being naive, but when I look at all things put together, the number of markets that they have on Odyssey that are already conservative talk radio, it's not going to change. And those conservative talk radio stations in those markets weren't changing anything to begin with. It's 7:15 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We do have to check the roads real quick. 30 seconds here, no commercials, and we'll get right back to news. That's Christy O'Brien on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. She's one of the best. We appreciate her doing the traffic for us. Dan Mandis is out today. He's going to be getting a new grandbaby very soon, hoping for nothing but health for baby and mom. And we'll keep you guys updated as updates become available. Dan was already getting a little bit impatient with the waiting around as of 7 o'clock in the morning. So he started sending me in show prep. And he wanted me to know about the FCC and the House Oversight Committee looking into them fast-tracking the Soros thing. I understand why there's a lot of fear when it comes to Odyssey being bought by George Soros. I do. Because I think as Americans, we all understand that censorship is the new lane, right? Like this is what they're doing. When they can't argue the information, they just silence us outright. And we've seen that so many times. Over the weekend, John Kerry went on the record saying, listen, people can get information from so many different areas, and the First Amendment really needs to stop blocking the way for their censorship. This is what he said, honestly.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact are kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people go, and then people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So
saying the quiet part out loud, that pesky First Amendment and your right to free speech. Wow, it's tough out there to really get a consensus and tell people what to think, if you will. And John, you're missing the plot, man. You have effectively, the left, monopolized media, censored individuals, and now nobody trusts you. Nobody trusts the left-wing mainstream media anymore. John Kerry says, well, the only way to get around that is to get rid of the First Amendment. That's a hot take, John. But the fact of the matter is that you did this to yourself. And, I covered the numbers that were released by Border Patrol on how many illegal aliens we have in this country that have been freed into this country and are convicted murderers or convicted burglars or convicted of kidnapping or sexual assault by the thousands. 13,000 murderers, 1,500 kidnappers, and on it goes. But the mainstream media didn't even touch the story. ABC and CBS, the nightly news, on Friday night when this report dropped, they didn't even cover it. And John Kerry's worried about the First Amendment. Oh, that pesky First Amendment getting in the way. We wouldn't have to go to different sources that we trust if we could trust the mainstream sources. The mainstream sources have eviscerated their own credibility. So we have to look elsewhere. Because if we only trusted the mainstream sources, we'd be in massive trouble right now. The mainstream sources were the ones that told us Hunter's laptop was Russian disinformation. The mainstream sources were the ones that told us the virus didn't come out of the Wuhan lab. John Kerry wants to get rid of that pesky First Amendment. He wants you to go back to eating up the slop from the mainstream sources. He needs that. They need control. That's what they want.
So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change.
Yeah, that's what they want. They need to win the ground. They need to win the hearts and the support of the people out there. And the only way that they can do that is if they hide, obfuscate, and omit the actual information. He's saying the quiet parts out loud, and we thank him for it. It's 7:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Coming up in the news, 5 bridges gone, 14 others closed. The Tennessee toll from Hurricane Helene, and a local police department searches for a missing elderly man. Those stories coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
7:29 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Filling in for Dan Mandis. He's got a grandbaby on the way. Joan Jones is back in the newsroom, making her triumphant return. Johnny B in the booth, making sure everything sounds good, coming out of the speakers. Appreciate you, Johnny. A lot of people on the Members Nutrition text line disagree with me on the Odyssey story. They said, hey, Odyssey can actually cut the syndicated programming. I hear where you're at, and I understand why people are nervous about George Soros taking over Odyssey. I still don't think it's going to make a big difference to conservative radio. I just don't. I don't think it's going to make a big difference to the conservative news ecosystem in general. I mean, go on the podcast page, look up the top 5 podcasts. Hey, spoiler alert, 3 out of them are conservative. We got Tucker Carlson up there, Dan Bongino up there, Joe Rogan up there. The information is getting out whether they like it or not. Soros spending his money on Odyssey doesn't concern me the way it concerns some people. Maybe I'm missing the mark. Maybe I am. But just looking at the properties that they've purchased versus what they're going to do with them, I think it was a bad investment on George Soros's part. That's me. Maybe I'm naive, but you tell me, a popular left-leaning talk show radio host.
And maybe it reminds you of Air America.
Yeah, right?
Wasn't that a smashing success?
7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 7:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We do have some fog this morning, and maybe what's to cause some of these problems that we're seeing on the roads this morning. I-840 westbound before Sulphur Springs Road. It's an accident. And another one in Paragon Mills at Nolensville Pike, just south of Harding Place. So be careful as you're out there this morning. We'll check more on traffic and weather in a couple of minutes. The destruction from Hurricane Helene is still being tallied today, but here's what we do know. 5 state bridges were destroyed in Tennessee by the rushing waters. 14 others are closed, and 27 state roadway sections are also closed. And we're learning that Unicoi County officials have asked for more cadaver dogs since they only have 4 on the ground, they say, and they can only work for 2 hours at a time without rest. That is not a good sign. Meantime, the governor of North Carolina calls the impact of Hurricane Helene on the western part of his state an unprecedented tragedy. As roads are washed out, power remains off, and many people are frustrated with what they say is a slow response from the federal government. Now, many North Carolina officials like Avril Pinder, the Buncombe County manager, tells ABC News they're doing what they can to get help where it's needed.
We need food and we need water. My staff has been making every request possible to the state for support, and we've been working with every single organization that has reached out.
Now, in Asheville, North Carolina, Helene and a separate system dumped up to 30 inches of rain in nearby mountains, triggering flash floods and landslides. President Biden is going to deliver remarks this morning at the White House on the federal government's response. Meantime, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has established a hotline to report missing persons. Now, if you've been unable to contact a loved one and you're concerned, you can call them. The number is 800-TBI-FIND. Again, that number, 800-TBI-FIND. I also want to let you know about a silver alert just issued this morning for a man missing from his Murfreesboro home since yesterday. John Barnes is 87 years old, last seen driving a 2017 beige Honda CRV with Tennessee tags. If you know of his whereabouts, contact Murfreesboro Police. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. An hour before the opening bell here, and stock futures still pointing down. Dow futures minus 59. NASDAQ futures are losing 67, and S&P futures are minus 13 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather coming up. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Okay, so in Hermitage, it's I-40 westbound just before Stewart's Ferry Pike. It's a stalled out car and the left shoulder is blocked. Lots of folks taking a look at that. I-840 westbound before Sulphur Springs Road in Murfreesboro, an accident. And another one in Paragon Mills, this one on Nolansville Pike south of Harding Place. Got to watch out for some fog on the roads this morning as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
$7:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Filling in for the one and only Dan Mandis, who's expecting a grandbaby today. Congratulations to Dan, the entire family. Wishing health for mom and baby. Hey, excited to see those pics.
Yes.
Pics or it didn't happen. We need to see the pics.
Like right away, Dan.
Yeah. Dan's been texting me throughout the morning.
I mentioned.
He promised me pics too.
He hasn't been giving me updates on mom and baby. He's been talking about the news. What are you doing, Dan?
Really? Lose your focus.
He even does this on vacation.
I love
on the
it.
beach.
I love it. I love it. Dan is he's the best.
Yes, he is.
Grateful to be able to host for him this morning while he gets this much needed family time. Kudos to Dan. Thank you for letting me be a part of your morning. We started the show today talking about what's happening in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, and I think it's important to cover this again. We have large portions of the country underwater. And all weekend long, we didn't hear anything from the Biden-Harris regime. Biden was at the beach. Kamala was fundraising with West Coast elites. And we had radio silence. Radio silence. That is until about 9 hours ago, where Kamala Harris tweeted that she had been briefed by FEMA's Deanne Criswell on the latest developments about the ongoing impacts of Hurricane Helene. Talking about FEMA and more, said she's been on the phone with the North Carolina governor, and she posted a nice picture of her on Air Force Two. She's got a phone up to her ear, she's got a pen in her hand, she's working hard. She's working hard. Somebody photoshopped that and put a bottle of wine next to her and a wine glass in her hand instead of a pen, like immediately after posting. I don't know how somebody could Photoshop that quick, but they did. Joe Biden hadn't said anything until about 12 hours ago, where he said, I was briefed on the impacts of Hurricane Helene, and our work to support ongoing response and recovery efforts is ongoing. Thanks. That's nice.
We'll get relief to North Korea soon.
Listen, you know what? If there's one thing I've learned from the wildfires in Hawaii is that when there's a natural disaster, the Biden-Harris regime are going to be there quick with a $750 check and a lecture on climate change. That's what we can expect from the Biden-Harris regime. Don't worry, the lecture will be coming before the check. Don't worry, the lecture will definitely come before the check. Trump was mentioning this over the weekend while he was in Pennsylvania, and he brings it up. We all understand what's going on here. The world burns down around us, and our leadership, America's leaders, well, they're absent. Shocker.
Before we begin, I'd like to send my love and prayers to the families of those who have died, a lot of death, and all of those who are displaced and suffering in the wake of the hurricane's destruction in the South, especially in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and in particular Western North Carolina took a tremendous hit. It's been absolutely devastated, and God be with you all. It's been a rough one. That was a big monster hurricane, and hit a lot harder than anyone even thought possible. So we want to just extend our best wishes to everybody, right?
I mean, that's how you do it, right? That's how you show empathy and all that.
Joe Biden is in Delaware sleeping right now in one of his many estates. How did he get so many houses? He never was anything. He was a politician, made $151. What the hell was it all about? And that's why Lion Kamala Harris in San Francisco, a city that she is totally destroyed. That's where she is right now at a fundraiser. I don't know why fundraiser. They send her. They get so much money. You know, a lot of people send money. I won't tell you who, but people that you would not like very much. I could give you the names. I think I will release the names. But if I do that, they'll say that I'm a threat to democracy. He's a threat.
Well, I mean, they're going to say that no matter what, right? So why not? But the point remains, where was our leadership all weekend long? We hadn't heard from Kamala Harris until 9 hours ago. We hadn't heard from President Biden until 12 hours ago. Although, to be fair, in President Biden's case, we're not sure if that was him or some low-level staffer that sent out the tweet. But where are they at? Where are they at? Again, we know from what happened in Hawaii with the wildfires, hey, the $750 check is in the mail. But, we can send billions to Ukraine. We can send billions upon billions to Ukraine. There are so many Americans whose lives have been uprooted by this storm. And I know how this is going to play out. We're not going to be able to help them. We're not going to have the money to help them. But again, we could send another $2.5 billion to Ukraine. No problem. No questions asked. Also seeing reports of people being arrested in Washington County, Tennessee, following alleged looting. This story is wild. 8 men have been arrested for allegedly looting flood-ravaged communities in the 107 area of Washington County, Tennessee. According to Sheriff Keith Sexton, the Washington County Sheriff's Office say deputies continue to patrol the region, especially along the flood zone. According to Sheriff Sexton, deputies arrested 8 men on Saturday for looting. Looting! Authorities say each of the 8 men arrested are being held at Washington County Detention Center on a $20,000 bond. I got the names of the suspects. You tell me if you notice anything. Let's do a little pattern recognition. Jesus Leodan Garcia Pineda. Josu Berardo Ortiz Valdez. Eris Leonel Ortiz Valdez. Albin Nahun Vega Rapallo. David Byron Rapallo. Kevin No Martinez Lopez. Marvin Hernandez Martinez. I just wonder, are any of these guys illegal aliens?
I imagine all of them.
I would imagine all of them, too.
You're being called the R word right now.
Yeah, classic. Listen, your boos mean nothing because I've seen what makes you cheer. But Mike, the question remains, are these illegal aliens? Are they?
I'd bank on it.
I would bank on it as well. It's 7:45 on Super Talk. We got to check the roads real quick. 30 seconds here, no commercials, and we'll be right back with more news. Thank you, Christy. It is 7:45 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, filling in for Dan Mandis today as Dan awaits that brand new, beautiful grandbaby boy. Really excited for Dan. This is pretty cool, and grateful that Dan entrusted me with the morning show to fill in. And I'm surrounded by just greatness with Johnny B and Joan Jones. We're talking about what's happened in the wake of Hurricane Helene. It's been chaos. There's been so much heartbreak and destruction and devastation. And it seems like our leadership, they took the weekend off. Joe's been taking a lot more time off than just the weekend. Joe's been like a guy at the office who knows he has a new job coming up and he's burning through his PTO. That's how Joe has been handling the presidency these last few months. But when we need leadership, they're always a day late and a dollar short. Doesn't it seem like that? It always seems like that. Don't worry, Kamala Harris can fix all of the stuff, all of the destruction from the hurricane on day one when she becomes president, I'm sure. In Washington County, Tennessee, 8 men were arrested for allegedly looting in these flood-ravaged communities of Washington County, Tennessee. The 8 names, I'll be honest with you, they just sounds like illegal aliens. They do. I have no proof of it right now, but when you look at the images and you read the names, you have to ask the question, are these illegal aliens? And that this isn't a question that's out of line. They'll call you the R word. They'll say you're a racist, you're a bigot. How could you notice things? But then at the same time, we see the reports of what's happening on the southern border. We understand that illegal aliens are being led into this country, even if they've been convicted of murder or burglary or kidnapping or drug trafficking. And so we can't ask the question. We're not allowed.
And doesn't that sound like an invasion to you?
It sounds like an invasion to me. And I know you always keep track of how many illegal aliens are crossing the border. It's been thousands that have crossed the border this morning. But, we don't get coverage on that. The 420,000 criminal illegal aliens roaming the country got virtually no coverage on the Friday evening news, virtually no coverage on the Sunday shows all over the nation. But this is a big story. It's a massive story. They rather glowingly covered Kamala Harris's visit to the border. Rather glowingly. She's so middle class, showing up for a 20-minute photo op with a $62,000 necklace on. But, that's what we got. Middle class Cam. This is who the candidate is. But no coverage really over the illegal aliens that are pouring into the country. Greg Gutfeld really went scorched earth on Friday about the lack of coverage with legacy media not reporting on the bombshell ICE report revealing hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens convicted of crimes being released into the U.S.
In the real world, she would be toast. And I don't like getting riled up for no reason because the story is so unbelievable. I wanted to see if it was reported elsewhere. You know, it couldn't find it on MSNBC, CNN, Drudge. You have the release of hundreds of thousands of foreign criminals, like they emptied the jails, raped thousands of rapists, thousands of murderers. And on the pages of all of these networks, the death of Maggie Smith, which is sad, great actress, Lana Del Rey's marriage, P. Diddy rumors, but nothing about what is easily one of the most big, probably the biggest crime story I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, but Lana Del Rey's marriage, guys, come on.
Yeah, we got to know.
So we know that Democrats watch this show. Some of them hate watching. But if you're watching this, the media doesn't want you to know this information. They don't want it to reach you. They would rather you die or be raped than Trump be right or find out the truth. So you can hate Fox all you want. You can hate Trump all you want. You can hate me. But you can't hate yourself and your family so much that you're going to ignore a story that puts them in danger.
Well, I don't think Greg knows many leftists. I'll disagree with him there. There are many leftists out there and progressive liberals who will ignore this story. They will. They have to. Vote blue no matter who, orange man bad.
Now, even if these numbers are off by 50%, please, I think that the fact checkers should fact check it. You know, tell us, no, it's not 16,000 rapists. It's only 8,000. It's only 7,000 murders. Cool. I'm glad you're okay with that. I'll take your fact check. But anybody who defends this or says it's not that big a deal is complicit, and they should be held accountable. Every victim of every crime by the people that are in here that we haven't vilified, who are actual villains, you need to file a class action suit against this government. You know, these bastards were more offended by stories of cats being eaten than real stories reported here of actual rape and murder. And if you ask why those other stories existed, it was the only way to get these a-holes in the media to even look at this story.
Greg's absolutely right. Listen, the Babylon Bee ran a funny headline, but it's heartbreaking because of the truth in it. That's what makes good humor. And the headline was, oh, no evidence of dogs or cats being killed by migrants, just women and children. You know, it's like, yeah, just women and children. It's so sad, but this is the reality of living under liberal control. It's 7:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones, what's coming up with the news?
I'll tell you, the death toll from Hurricane Helene is on the rise. And what President Biden plans to do about a possible dock workers strike. Those stories and more at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
7:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, filling in for Dan Mandis as Dan awaits a brand new grandbaby boy. Congratulations to the Mandis clan. We're very excited for those guys. Wishing nothing but health and happiness for mom and baby.
Right on.
And very, very excited to see those pics.
Me too.
Oh, man. New babies. You got to love it. You got to love it. If you don't get a chance to listen to me very often, I normally host 9 to noon. You can always catch my show on the podcast page on Apple or Spotify or the 99.7 WTN app. You can keep up with me wherever you go. I'm on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram. All of them are the same, at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. Elon Musk responded to that bombshell report from ICE revealing that 420,000 illegal immigrants convicted of crimes are currently residing freely in the U.S. Elon said the scale of the deception is jaw-dropping. He's half right. He's half right. The scale of the deception is jaw-dropping, except my jaw can't drop any lower. But like it already dropped.
Well, that's the truth.
You know what I mean? So it's been dropped. It was a long time ago. I'm still trying to pick it up. But weighing in on that report, Elon says, unbelievable, the scale of deception. Oh yeah, you're convicted of homicide? Well, no big deal. 13,000 of them, come on in. You're convicted of assault? Hey, welcome to America. 62,000 of you welcomed in. You're convicted of sexual assault. Biden-Harris says no big deal. We can let in 15,000. Wild. What does Donald Trump think about it? We'll tell you next at 7:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Hey, it's 8 o'clock now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We have had some problems this morning, some of it due to fog on the roadways. Watch it rolling Mill Hill. We've got 24 downtown eastbound lanes before I-40, the east split, exit 50, A and B. There's a crash there, and the right lane is blocked, and that's going to cause some delays. Stick around. We've got all of it for you in traffic and the forecast coming up. The death toll from Hurricane Helene is now topped 116 people. That's according to ABC News. 30 of those deaths happened in Asheville, North Carolina, where some people are still stranded in their cars.
Can't get home. haven't seen my kids. I'm tired. I'm hungry. Still have no power. I have no gas to get to my kids. I don't know where to get gas. So there's that.
Yeah, thousands are still without power, too, and they've turned to the overflowing rivers to get buckets of water just so they can flush their toilets. In Cock County, 2 deaths have been confirmed, and the cleanup there is underway. This roofer says he'll be working free of charge.
We'll start tomorrow. We'll be here all week and probably next week if they need it. Whoever needs it. We've just been passing out cards to anybody that we can find. We just want to help. That's all we're doing.
Meantime, the governor of North Carolina is calling the storm an unprecedented tragedy. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has more.
Charlotte station WSOC sharing video from above Buncombe County, where the death toll has climbed to at least 30 people. Home after home surrounded by floodwater. In Asheville, North Carolina, Helene and a separate system dumped up to 30 inches of rain in nearby mountains, triggering flash floods and landslides. Asheville now largely cut off by washed out roads, a lack of power, and no cell phone service.
The man who was the 43rd governor of Tennessee has died. Winfield Dunn died peacefully Saturday afternoon, surrounded by family. He was 97. He was elected governor in 1970, and he's credited with helping create the statewide kindergarten program. President Biden is taking a hands-off approach to what could be a devastating dock workers strike.
14 ports from New England to Texas could shut down Tuesday at midnight. Up to 36 could be affected. Those crucial hubs responsible for nearly 35% of all U.S. imports and exports. The International Longshoremen's Association demanding higher hourly wages in their new contract and a ban on automated cranes, gates, and trucks. A prolonged strike could mean delayed shipping and higher prices for Americans on things like clothes, electronics, cars, and food like canned goods and fresh produce.
That's ABC's Renee Roy. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. A half hour before the opening bell, and everything's pointing down. Dow futures minus 67 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather coming up. Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Got some problems in Rolling Mill Hill this morning. It's a crash blocking the right lane at 24 eastbound lanes downtown just before I-40 East split. That's exit 50A through B. Also south side, an accident, and that's on I-40 westbound before Hermitage Avenue, and that's exit 212. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Information fueled, opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
8:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning. My name is Chris Hand, filling in for Dan Mandis. Johnny B producing. Joan Jones back in the newsroom. Welcome back, Joan.
Thanks.
I had one guy on the Super Texter line say, "Man, it's good to hear Jane James."
I love him.
we love having Jen John back in the newsroom.
Yeah, that's
one of the best.
Tomorrow, I'm Judy.
Well, we're anxiously awaiting the return of Dan Mandis. News from the delivery room. We'll wait. Maybe we'll get some news today.
I hope so.
Which one of us do you think gets the first text?
Oh, it's going to be me.
Yeah, it'll be Chris.
It'll be, yeah. But it'll be about show prep. It won't be about the baby.
Nothing about a baby. Yeah.
Dan's been. It was 7 a.m. this morning. Dan sent me a text, said this is taking a little while. 7 a.m. Dan. 7 a.m. Man. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Did you see the story about the FCC? It's like, Dan, you got other stuff you should be focusing on.
This is what's going to happen toward the end of the show. You're going to get you'll get a grade on how the show was.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I'll take anything. I'll take anything. Whatever. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best here. Not as good as Dan, but grateful to be with you nonetheless. We were talking about what's happening on the southern border. You probably heard the reports on Friday. I know Brian Wilson covered it on his show tremendously, as he always does. But the report is just wild. 420,000, more than 420,000 illegal aliens convicted of crimes that are currently residing freely in the United States. Now, the crime here isn't crossing the border illegally. I mean, I think you can make the argument that every illegal alien is should be convicted of a crime here for breaking into our country. But the numbers here are illegal aliens that were previously convicted of crimes allowed to enter the United States anyway. You know, like 62,000 individuals convicted of assault. No big deal. What about 13,000 individuals convicted of homicide? It's a little shocking, is it not? 50 states, you do some napkin math, 261 plus illegal aliens per state convicted of homicide? What? Oh, by the way, you're also paying for their hotel room and their food and their cell phone while they're here. 15,000 illegal aliens in the country known to have been convicted of sexual assault. This is the numbers that we got on Friday afternoon. None of these individuals are being held in detention facilities. No, of course not. They're roaming the country free. And the media is ready and willing to demonize you should you see a problem with that. 100%. What way? Don't be the R word. Don't do that. Don't notice things, guys. Donald Trump brought this up while he was campaigning in Pennsylvania over the weekend. How absurd these numbers are when you really put things into context.
When just one convicted murderer escapes from prison in real life, right? We have one person will escape who's not nearly as bad as the people we're letting in. He's like a perfect person compared to the people we're letting in. You'll see that in a second. But if somebody escapes, we have a massive manhunt, and we look all over the place, and we got everything in the world. And we have 13,099 that just came in. We have massive manhunts. It's all over the place, and they capture them. But now we have 13,099. That's just the murderers. And over 600,000 they call them highest level criminals in our country. Kamala let in the 13,099 convicted murderers and opposes all efforts to find them and to remove them. She opposes all these efforts.
Yes. Listen, when you put it into context like that and you really break it down on that one-to-one level, he's not wrong. If a convicted murderer escaped from a prison in Tennessee today, their picture would be all over the TV. WSMV would cover it. WKRN would cover it. Everybody would cover it. It would be the big story. But we have 13,099 convicted killers roaming about the country, and we don't even hear a peep out of it on the news. What?
And they've probably been registered to vote.
Yeah, honestly. They probably have been registered to vote. Illegal aliens are being registered to vote. They'll call that a conspiracy theory too, until you present them with evidence, which is out there in abundance. Evidence is a pesky thing. It's there. Charlie Kirk posted a video of them covering illegal aliens being registered to vote. This was on Friday. I played some of this, and it's wild how little coverage it actually gets, because it should be getting all the coverage, you would think, but it doesn't get any coverage. Illegal aliens being registered to vote, not exactly a top news story. Convicted killers, convicted sexual assaulters being released to the country, not exactly a top story. No, that just doesn't make the cut. If it bleeds, it leads, right? That's what they usually say. Though this one, don't worry about this one. 13,099 murderers, 15,811 rapists, 425,431 convicted criminals that they knew about and released into the country anyway. Does the word treason come to mind for anyone? Disqualifying, downright evil? Is Kamala Harris going to have to answer questions about this? Probably not. She doesn't have to answer questions in general. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But it doesn't blow your mind when you understand that the migrants want Harris to win. Migrants for Harris. That's the new one. We've had cat ladies for Harris and white dudes for Harris, and now we have migrants for Harris. Migrants for Harris. Numerous reports from Central and South America have revealed that migrants seeking to enter the United States are hoping for a victory by Vice President Kamala Harris. This is according to the Daily Mail. And it really tells you everything you need to know, right? Yes, they want Kamala Harris to win because Kamala Harris has promised amnesty, a pathway to citizenship, and free stuff. A September 20th Mexican article in a Mexican newspaper, Latin American media outlets have been covering this. The headline was, "Migrants see risks with Trump's return." Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. We see some risks. Not sure it's going to work out in our favor if Trump is elected. I mean, that may be the understatement of the year. Trump was saying in Pennsylvania just over the weekend, he's going to end all of the migrant flights to Pennsylvania and just about every other state in the constitutional republic that we have here.
As soon as I take office, I will stop all migrant flights to Pennsylvania and every other state. I will shut down all entries through Kamala's migrant phone app. If you can believe, they have an app. They have a phone app called an app. Can you believe this? I will end immediately catch and release. So I had catch and release too. But you know where I released them? In Mexico.
Yeah. Oh, I had catch and release too in Mexico. Yeah, I can understand why migrants would see a bit of a problem, a bit of a risk if Trump returns to the office. It's 8:15 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're going to check the roads real quick. 30 seconds here. No commercials. We'll be right back.
As soon as I take office, I will stop all migrant flights to Pennsylvania and every other state. I will shut down all entries through Kamala's migrant phone app.
Yeah, the migrant phone app is going to get shut down as well. A bit problematic if you're a migrant trying to break into the country, I would imagine.
If you can believe, they have an app. They have a phone app called an app. Can you believe this? I will end immediately catch and release. So I had catch and release too. But you know where I released them? In Mexico. I have catch and release too, but I released them in Mexico. Their catch and release was to catch them, even if they were a criminal. Immediately they released them into our country. I released them into Mexico. I will end all sanctuary cities all over our country immediately.
The crowd in Pennsylvania really liked that one, and how can you blame them? How can you blame them? Let's make no mistake about it. A sanctuary city is a sanctuary for criminals. It's not a sanctuary for good, honest, hardworking people. Those are the people that are waiting in line to get into this country the right way. Under the Harris-Biden regime, we're just letting murderers and convicted sexual assaulters and rapists and burglars and human traffickers into the country no matter what. And the migrants understand that it would be a bit problematic if Trump gets back into office. A bit problematic. There was a September 20th Mexican article titled, "Migrants See Risk with Trump's Return." Another article noted that Ecuadorian migrants want Harris to win because they feel it would provide them more reassurance about their ability to remain in the U.S. for longer periods. No kidding. Donald Trump is vowing the largest mass deportation event in history. That worries the migrants. It makes them a little bit nervous. There's a Mexican outlet called El Imparcial. El Imparcial. They say a potential victory of Republican candidate Donald Trump in the race for the presidency of the United States would toughen immigration procedures. Yeah. You don't have to sell me on the guy. We're already voting for him. This is actually why we want to vote for him. And this article went on to say, immigrants who are in the United States with a status that could lead to their deportation could be vulnerable. Yeah. That's
why we want him.
That's the thing we like. Is it not? Oh, weird. It's a bit problematic. There's a Spanish outlet, Diario Público, the Public Diary. They reported concerns that a Trump presidency could end the Biden-Harris administration's CBP One app, which you just heard Donald Trump talking about a moment ago. Oh, no, they could end our app that gets us free flights into the country illegally. Yeah, well, yeah.
Pennsylvania and every other state, I will shut down all entries through Kamala's migrant phone app. If you can believe, they have an app. They have a phone app called an app. Can you believe this?
No, I mean, I can, because we're buried in the headlines every day, right? And it's just, I'm actually shocked, though, that they're in these outlets saying this is going to be problematic. This is going to be problematic. The Spanish outlet, Diario.
Yeah.
Diario Publico.
Say that again.
There's truth in reporting here. They say it would be a bit problematic if we shut down the CBP One app, because that's facilitated migrant entry into the U.S. by coordinating flights. We have to keep the flights flowing.
Like Diario.
It says Diario Publico. The Ecuadorian news agency La República also wrote that migrants stranded at the U.S.-Mexico border and those already in the U.S. illegally fear their journeys could be cut short if Trump wins and implements his desired immigration policies. We're so fearful. Don't come. If you don't want to be removed for entering the country illegally, you could enter the country the right way, and then you wouldn't have these fears, right? Am I simplifying things too much? Maybe I'm simplifying things too much. But yeah, Trump wants to shut down the app. Yeah, Trump wants to shut down illegal entry, and Trump wants to stop migrant flights into the country. Radical. What a xenophobe and a racist and a bigot. Am I doing it right? Is that what the left is going to scream today?
Oh yeah.
I can't believe he would do this. Trump was also in Wisconsin over the weekend, really heavily highlighting the security concerns because of the wide open southern border. And I have a story from Wisconsin about something an illegal alien did, which would leave people in Wisconsin to go, hey, maybe we shouldn't have illegal aliens here. I'll bring you that and more on the way. But first, Joan Jones, what's coming up in the news?
Well, Chris, we'll tell you the Tennessee county where 70 people are still missing after Hurricane Helene. That's coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:28 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, filling in for Dan Mandis as he patiently awaits that grandbaby to join the family. Congratulations to Dan. Wishing nothing but happiness and health for mom and baby. And over under on Mandis fainting?
Or are we putting bets out on that, are we?
I don't know. Dan is so ingrained in the station. He's been sending me show prep this morning. This is a lot of waiting around here.
Yeah, he's going to be waiting a while.
Send him out for coffee or something.
That's what. Honestly, go get some coffee, Dan.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we appreciate Dan, and we're wishing you nothing but the best, man. And we're praying for you and cheering for you, and we're just downright excited for you. The big story today is the numbers of convicted criminals that are coming across the southern border that are known convicted criminals, not just the ones that broke into the country, so now you're a criminal, but people that have been convicted of homicide, people that have been convicted of rape by the thousands being dropped off into our country, and the silence that's deafening from the mainstream media. ABC didn't cover it, CBS didn't cover it, NBC mentioned it via blurb. Just a little. They dropped a little blurb, and they moved on to Kamala Harris's inspiring border visit. Donald Trump had this to say when he was in Wisconsin over the weekend.
There's no greater act of disloyalty than to extinguish the sovereignty of your own nation right through your border. No matter what lies she tells, Kamala Harris can never be forgiven for her erasing our border. And she must never be allowed to become president of the United States. She must never be allowed.
That's Donald Trump in Wisconsin. He's absolutely right. And on the way in the gang of three amigos with myself, Johnny, and Joan, have you guys heard the new AI Trump song, Borders Are?
Ooh, no.
Can't wait.
All right, well, I'll bring that to you next after the news with Joan Jones, which starts right now on Super Talk.
8:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Looks like we have some trouble spots this morning, same as before. Actually, it's a long-term delay here. A crash in Rolling Mill Hill. It's on 24 downtown eastbound just before the I-40 East split. The crash blocks the right lane there. Also, an accident in the Highlands on Edmondson's Pike at Gessner Lane. All of that and your traffic and your weather make that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Across the southeast, there's widespread damage still rolling in the wake of Hurricane Helene. The storm now claiming more than 116 lives and knocking out power to millions of people. Western North Carolina, especially hard hit. At least 30 deaths have been reported in the Asheville area. ABC's Faith Abubre is there reporting on the recovery efforts.
In Nashville, North Carolina, Helene and a separate system dumping 14 inches of rain combined and as much as 30 inches in nearby mountains, triggering flash flooding and landslides. More than 500 National Guards members joining local emergency responders, conducting search and rescue missions, delivering supplies and working to restore infrastructure. Asheville's water system severely damaged too.
We're going to be cleaning up a long time.
Residents facing long lines for gas all weekend.
And here in Tennessee, more than 73 people, that's a new total, still missing in Unicoi County. Many family members holding up photos of their loved ones at a press conference yesterday. The county's emergency manager on the effort to find everyone.
Many of the first responders that are working right now do not have water. They don't have electricity. And they're leaving their families to come help others.
Yeah, very emotional there. And some are telling heartbreaking stories about the loss of loved ones.
Her sister called her family to say goodbye because they knew they weren't going to make it. So they were able to call them and talk to them. She talked to her kids.
Oh, so sad. Saturday morning, FEMA announced that federal disaster assistance is now available to the state of Tennessee. Now, some of the counties taking the federal government up on that offer include Carter, Cock, Greene, Hamblin, Johnson, and, of course, Unicoi counties. Well, the market number is brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. And stocks, the markets have just opened this morning, and it looks like stocks are, and my screen will complete here any moment now. Well, stocks started off just a little bit higher this morning, and we'll check on what the markets are saying in just a couple of moments. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a handful of problems this morning in Rolling Mill Hill. It's 24 downtown eastbound just before the I-40 East split. That's a crash that's still blocking the right lane. It's been there a while. Same thing in the Highlands. This accident has been around for quite a while this morning, almost an hour. It's an injury involved in this accident. Edmondson Pike at Gessner Lane, and an accident in Madison, Maya Drive North. I-40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane. That's an accident, and the right shoulder is also blocked in that area. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, filling in for Dan Mandis, who is out today, and he'll be out tomorrow.
Yes.
He's got a grandbaby coming. He's going to soak up that time. Good for him.
Well, that grandbaby is doing like Dan, just taking his time.
He's taking his time.
It could be a little late.
Well, I'm grateful for Dan for entrusting me with Nashville's morning news. More grateful that I got Johnny B producing. Jan Jones in the newsroom is back.
It's good to have her back,
It's
too.
good. Joan, we love you on the news here in the morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have Joan back.
You guys make it easy, It's kind of it's fun. Like we have fun.
Yes, we do.
We try to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
We try to. Have you guys heard the new Borders Are song?
I want to hear this so much.
Okay. Full disclosure, we might have to dump out. I might go full Mandis.
Oh.
This is the new AI Trump Borders Are.
From the wackos on the left to the MAGAs on the right, they know I'm beating Kamala. This race won't even be tied. Her policies are nutso. She's out her goddamn mind. She just repeats the same thing, regurgitating her lines. She thinks that immigration without paperwork is good. Clearly not too much power underneath Kamala's hood. Borders are, it's what you are. Borders are, borders are.
That's good.
Cackling Kamala, you're dumb. Mass inflation imminent if she weasels herself in. If that don't sound like fun to you, then you better help me win. I promise I'll secure you. You'll be in better hands. It'd be a flippin' free-for-all with what Kamala plans. Borders are. It's what you are. Borders are. Borders are. Laugh it up, Kamala. This lady.
All right, so that's Borders Are, the new AI Trump song. There's a video.
Even she liked it.
There's a video that goes with it. If you want to check it out, it's on my Twitter account, @ChrisHand on Air. Borders Are.
Borders are. That's what you are.
That's what you are. Borders are.
Love it.
Also, did you see SNL trying to be funny once again this weekend?
Oh, yeah, I heard about this.
Boy, what do they do now?
They brought Jim Gaffigan in to be Tim Walz. And
I could see that.
Okay, yeah.
It sounded like this. Oh.
Been this excited since I got a 10% rebate on a leaf blower from Menards. What can I say? I got that BDE, Big Dad Energy. You see what I did there? You get it?
I got it. I didn't want it, but I got it.
You know, Trump and Vance are weird. All right? And they want the government to control what you do in your bedroom and what books you read. You know, in Minnesota, we have a saying, mind your damn business. We also have another saying in Minnesota, my nuts froze to the park bench.
I feel like the bar is really low for SNL.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't.
It's been low for a long time.
It has been low for a long time.
Everybody was posting this. They're like, wow, they went at Waltz. And I'm like, eh.
Yeah, it's kind of. And usually I find Jim Gaffigan funny, even though I don't agree with his politics.
It felt milquetoast to me.
Yeah.
Felt a little lame.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah.
I get more laughs out of the Babylon Bee.
Borders are.
Yeah.
Borders are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I just, the left can't be funny anymore.
No, they can't.
They're too worried about feelings.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame. I feel like comedy has definitely lost something.
Well, they have. They've lost their edge. Even comedians say so.
Yep. Yeah. It's just a crazy time. It's a crazy time. We had a big country music legend pass away.
We sure did.
Over the weekend, Chris Christopherson. And Johnny, you were telling me some stories off the air.
Yeah, he very Chris, of course, just a great songwriter. In fact, it kind of angered me because I think today said, "Oh, Johnny Cash recorded one of his songs." Johnny Cash recorded a lot of Christopherson songs. And not only that, but they were in the Highwaymen together. This was Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, who's the only one left now, and Chris Christopherson. And they were getting ready for a tour. And you can find this on YouTube. I should have looked it up, but I'll try to give you an imitation of it. But they're talking about their tour. Chris wants to go to Paris. And they start talking about it. And Waylon says, Paris, hell with them. And Chris says, what? He said, yeah, we pulled their butt out of so many, skirmishes over the years. He said, screw them. And Christopherson comes back and goes, I can't believe it. Who could hate Paris, France? He said, they've got wine and cheese and beautiful women. And Waylon bursts in and goes, so's Fort Worth. But Chris was a great, you talk about a guy that really changed songwriting in Nashville. Chris really did. And a great songwriter. If you ever hear Sunday Morning Coming Down by Johnny Cash, that one always resonated with me because or Why Me, Lord, another great song. You just couldn't deny the guy's talent. Singing, you had to, it's kind of like Bob Dylan. You either were a fan of his singing or you weren't. But as far as songwriting goes, nobody could really touch him.
Well, the music industry is definitely mourning the passing of a legend there.
You're not kidding.
Crazy story. And then did you hear about SpaceX? They've sent their capsule up to the space station to save those NASA astronauts.
Yeah. Good for them.
The two astronauts stuck in the International Space Station since June.
Good Lord.
They got their new ride parked on Saturday. So while the left will demonize Elon Musk, just remember that they also begged him to go save some astronauts.
Yeah, doing what Boeing couldn't do.
Honestly. Would you have even got in the Boeing if they sent a new one up for you?
I wouldn't.
So it was the Starliner is now up there, and they should be coming home.
What do you bet that the media companies, the legacy media companies, don't say Elon Musk's SpaceX? They say SpaceX, they'll name the capsule, but they won't talk about Elon Musk being involved.
I agree.
Yeah, that's probably, I feel like that's a given, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And what a great, he could start a space Uber.
Yeah,
Oh, he could.
They won't give Elon Musk credit for anything.
No.
Elon getting credit would be the same as Trump not being blamed for something at this point.
Exactly.
Trump still gets blamed for a lot of stuff. In fact, the director of the Lady Ghostbusters film is still upset at Donald Trump.
You're kidding.
Paul Feig, the director and co-writer of the all-female Lady Ghostbusters, is still blaming Trump supporters for that flop.
Really?
The Breitbart has this story. It just seems like cope and seethe, dude. Cope and seethe.
Yes.
It's been 8 years, and he's had time. He's had time to really, look deep within himself.
Sure.
For the failures of the movie,
which was bad,
awful. But he says the political climate of the time was really weird. With Hillary Clinton running for office in 2016, there were a lot of dudes looking for a fight. When I was getting piled on Twitter, I'd go back and see who they were. So many were Trump supporters.
Oh, yes.
This is why you had a bad movie. Because there were Trump supporters that wrote it for you and directed it.
Yes.
He goes, then Trump came out against us. It's like,
well, that did it.
It's like the meme. First they came for so-and-so. Then when Trump came for me, there was no one left. He was like, they're remaking Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford. You can't do that. And now they're remaking Ghostbusters with only women. What's going on? And got all upset. Yeah, but Trump was right.
Yeah, he was.
Then the director says, and then everybody went effing cannibal. It turned the movie into a political statement, as if to say, if you're pro-women, you're going to see this. If not, then you're not. So if you didn't go see Lady Ghostbusters, you're not pro-woman.
I guess I'm not pro-woman.
I guess I'm not either. I did watch it, try to watch it.
We're 3 for 3 being anti-woman on this show.
I guess so.
The most shocking of us was Joan Jones.
I know. I can't believe she admitted to it right here.
Coming out.
I'm not sure that I was even aware that there was such a movie. So,
you didn't miss anything.
But I love how they say Lady Ghostbusters. If you don't support Lady Ghostbusters, you're anti-woman. But the director ignores the fact that the all-female Ocean's 8 that came out about 18 months later was a success.
Yes. Doesn't bring up that one, does he?
It doesn't. Well, you can't bring that up and have it continue to make sense.
No.
And then how do Trump fans create a failure when Hillary Clinton got almost 66 million votes?
There you go.
Are the 66 million Hillary voters anti-woman?
Must be.
I think they are.
I think they are too.
I think
it's a conspiracy.
It's a basket of deplorables. These Hillary voters.
Yes.
We can't keep letting them get away with this. This is what we got. Hillary Clinton's also been out there talking bad about Trump again. I don't
Did
find
she
that
ever
surprising.
stop? Like, really?
Well, that's actually probably a fair point, Joan. I don't know if she did ever stop. Maybe at times people stopped listening, but she's got a microphone now, and there's a presidential cycle going on. And she says the press needs a constant narrative about the danger that Trump poses. Like they haven't had a constant narrative. This is what she said.
Brief final question. You liken yourself to Cassandra, the Greek mythological figure who could see the future and the prophecies, but was never believed.
So this is
an insane question.
This is with PBS, and they're like, by the way,
That's an insane
You
question.
tend to view yourself as a Greek god that can see the future, but nobody believes you. Well, all right, let me just, before we get into Hillary, if she could see the future, why pay for the glass ceiling in 2016?
Yeah.
And she was getting all those fireworks ready, too. Remember?
I mean, she's a terrible fortune teller.
Putting that Cassandra hat on for the moment, but we're listening. What is something you see happening in the near future that we should be taking more seriously?
Well, I do think that the press needs a consistent narrative. I mean, the press that's not supporting Trump blatantly, very persistently.
Is there a press blatantly and persistently supporting Trump?
I don't see one, really.
The press that's trying to be the press, be objective, be, reporting the facts. The press needs a consistent narrative about the danger that Trump poses.
So she would like to script the narrative that the press mimics?
Yep.
How does that work? Does that make them press anymore? Or does it just make them arms of the government?
Propaganda.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
But she even says if you're thinking of voting for Trump, you need to know how evil he is.
Because people may still look at the danger and say, "I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I'm going to vote for X, Y, or Z." But okay, but at least people need to be woken up and given the facts about what he has done, is saying, and would do.
Orange man bad. Sure, you might want a better economy or a more secure border, but did I tell you, orange man bad?
Yeah. And she's not dangerous at all.
No. not unless you happen to be a cell phone that the DOJ wants to take a look at.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're going to get a ball peen hammer treatment.
Or if she invites you to Fort Marcy Park.
Honestly.
For a stroll. Good luck to you.
Don't go for a walk in the park with Hillary Clinton.
No.
It's 8:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Again, my name is Chris Hand, filling in for Dan Mandis today and tomorrow. Dan's got a grandbaby on the way. Keep Dan in your thoughts and prayers. Keep the baby in your thoughts and prayers. Keep that mom in your thoughts and prayers. Wishing them nothing but the best happiness and health from all of us here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll be back with more next.
Still to come here, how you can help the victims of Hurricane Helene. And as if a hurricane isn't enough, there's a devastating chemical fire in Georgia. Those stories at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Dan Mandis is out today. He's going to be off tomorrow as well. Grandbaby Mandis is coming into the world.
Oh, man.
Wishing nothing but happiness and health to Dan, the mom, the baby, all the things.
Johnny, should we let Chris back in the door tomorrow?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah? Okay. All right.
Oh, come on,
I may
Jan.
even drive him in.
I appreciate Joan being back, Johnny helping as well. These guys are just professionals, and I'm grateful to be able to do a show with those guys. Keep up with me off the air at Chris Hand on air on Twitter, True Social, on Instagram. And don't forget, tomorrow, Hop Springs in Murfreesboro, our VP debate. It's going to be fantastic. Walls v. Vance. And we want you there to join in the fun with us. Hop Springs in Murfreesboro. Wilson starts his show at 3 o'clock. Myself, Mandis Murphy, we're going to be there in attendance. Fox Nation is showing up. They want to see what a large crowd looks like. Sorry.
They want to have an audience.
And our friends at the Glock store are giving away free range sessions and a brand new Glock. You don't want to miss this party. 997WTN.com for the details. Cameron Smith is in next. He'll be in my regular slot 9 to noon, followed by Murphy, then Wilson. I'll check with you guys tomorrow on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.